I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. As President Trump refuses to take support from the Prime Minister and launches a scathing attack on the UK, is this really the end of the special relationship?
This comes as HMS Prince of Wales, our aircraft carrier, prepares for possible deployment to the Middle East. But the US President has said, it's too late, you can keep it. And he promises certain death to targets in Iran.
Well, meanwhile, Tony Blair has chimed in, condemning Sir Keir Starmer over his decision not to support American strikes on Iran from the start.
Councils are divided over the second home council tax surge introduced by the government. We'll be hearing from locals in Yorkshire on how the scheme has impacted their community.
Tourists come in the summer and people with holiday homes come in the winter time, and they come all year round, and they actually spend the money in the town. This has not solved any problems for the residents of Filey.
Now, as the cost of translation and interpreting in the NHS more than doubles in a year, should English be a work requirement if you're in the NHS?
Meanwhile, scientists have successfully changed the course of an asteroid for the first time. NASA has pulled off a real-life Armageddon.
A very good morning. It was a thrilling day in the Six Nations, with England suffering an humiliating first-ever defeat to Italy in Rome. Under pressure, coach Steve Borthwick has, though, vowed to fight on. Scotland, meanwhile, wrecked the Grand Slam dreams of France to throw the tournament wide open ahead of next week's finale.
Will you see any sunshine today? Well, I'll have all of the details in the forecast coming up shortly.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
It's interesting looking at the front pages this morning, because there's a mix of all the stuff going on, as you'd imagine, in the conflict. Big picture of a B-1 bomber on the Sunday People, but an awful lot, of course, about Ian Huntley. We got that news of his demise yesterday. You can imagine none of it favourable. Well, no, it wouldn't be favourable, but you know what I mean. It's
interestingly,
nasty.
his daughter has done a quick, brief interview, splashed on their Sun on Sunday there, where she says she doesn't care, she's glad he's dead, and you can flush his ashes down the toilet. And I think that's how most people feel.
I mean, I know it's right that we don't know what it, but it's all these pictures that are all over the papers and that you see of him. They're all decades old now.
2002.
And I just wonder what he
looked like.
What he looked like. What on earth is going on? I mean, it's you know, it's a wicked, wicked thing.
Yeah. I mean, when you feel guilty for feeling maybe it's a good thing he's dead. In fact, even his mother said that.
Yeah.
Didn't she?
She did.
But it feels wrong to sort of celebrate somebody's violent death like that, even if it's him.
Yes, I don't. Yeah, celebrating isn't the right thing.
I mean, frankly, he doesn't deserve airtime.
Yeah, it's not celebrating, but you struggle to have any sympathy, don't you?
There are several journalists who reported on it at the time, on the murders of Holly and Jessica, and kept a relationship going with the families since. And one of them said that, I think it's Jessica's dad, said he has robbed us of every moment of her life, but we're not going to let him rob us of any future time. We are going to get on with our lives.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're going to defy what he did. And that's probably the healthiest way for them to cope.
It is. But also when you look at, I mean, you sort of think they'd have been 34 now, which is, you know,
Holly
younger
would
than
be
the
the same
people we
age
work
as
with.
her mother when
it
she was
happened.
killed. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Isn't that astonishing how
It
time
is.
flies?
It
But
is.
none of us forget it.
No, you don't forget
Those
something
two
like
little
that.
faces in their Manchester United shirts.
Yes.
You never forget that.
Remember David Beckham making the appeal? Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, they played West Ham on the Saturday and he made an appeal before the match because at that point they were still missing.
Yeah.
And it was always no avail.
And Huntley was giving interviews about how
Was it Jeremy Thompson?
Yeah, it
Yes, it
was.
was.
Yeah, it
Yes,
was.
You're
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah, he managed to.
How on earth, in the
Follow
middle
him.
of all of that, do you remember that they played West Ham that day?
I was at the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness. It's astonishing, isn't it? Tell you, what is it when you wake up and there's something, you start grinding your teeth?
Oh, don't
Why
know.
am I doing that?
I don't know. Are you getting little ridges on the inside of your mouth as well?
It's a very serious thing, actually. I've had it for some
Is
years.
it a sign of tension?
Oh, it might be.
Possibly.
Must be.
Working with us two on the weekend.
It's really annoying. I mean, I've only done it just in the last hour or so.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Why am
it's
I
only
doing
since
it?
I got in.
Have a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Meanwhile-
as soon as you walked in the door.
Yeah, what does that tell you? Andy, what are we to make of? And we'll go into it in more detail in a moment. But the criticism of Keir Starmer, well, it's come from the White House. I mean, no surprise because we know President Trump is being outspoken on this. But I think perhaps more surprising is that it's come from Tony Blair as well.
Yes.
He's been quite critical. Should we talk to David Wooding?
Yes.
Let's do that, who's former editor of the Sunday Express. David, good morning to you. We'll try and touch on Trump in a moment, but what do you make of this intervention from Tony Blair?
Well, it's a little surprise, really, because a lot of Keir Starmer's dithering over Iran dates back to the invasion of Iraq in 2003, which, of course, was a very controversial decision by Tony Blair, who was then Prime Minister, and he knows that some of his own cabinet feel uneasy about invading Iran. But the truth is, Stephen, that the main reason you have to make these decisions in politics is because you have a vision and a knowledge of where it will bring you. And as Tony Blair is saying, when your closest ally, who are indispensable for the provision of security, asks you to join in, then you better show up. And that's exactly what Tony Blair did at the time. The weapons of mass destruction issue in Iraq were not copper bottomed, but he felt that if America were going in, Britain had to be alongside them as they came in to us during the Second World War. And Keir Starmer, who doesn't really have that sort of political nous and in fact a vision of where he wants Britain to stand in the world, dithered. And so 1 minute he's in, the next minute he's out, the next minute he's in, because when British bases came under fire, he then felt he had to get in. And now, of course, he's talking about sending in an aircraft carrier. So he's ended up alienating both sides, those who want to go in to Iran to back America, and the left of the party who just want to stay well clear.
Yeah, this is quite damning, though, isn't it? Because Tony Blair, it is said, had been coaching Keir Starmer for the last couple of years about how to make Labour electable again. But this time he's turned around and said, no, you're wrong. And Blair, Starmer must feel that criticism pretty badly.
Absolutely, Anne. And it shows the growing frustration that Tony Blair must be having privately, that he's spoken out in public on this matter. I think it was at a dinner with the Jewish News, was it, or something like that?
Yeah.
So it shows that he is increasingly coming to the conclusion that Keir Starmer's not doing a good job, which, let's be fair, is what a large majority of the British public now think, according to the opinion polls.
I mean, what it doesn't do is quite address the problem that we've had with HMS Dragon, and indeed with sort of Duncan before that. This idea that whether you wanted to engage in the strikes or not, we knew there'd be retaliation. We knew places like Akrotiri would be in the crosshairs, and yet we didn't pre-deploy, which everyone seems to be telling us would have to be a political decision. And we've no explanation. We've been given nothing on why that decision was taken.
Absolutely. Very slow off the mark. Would have known 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago nearly, that trouble was afoot when America sent the first of 2 giant aircraft carriers into the region. He must have known through back channels what was going on top of that, but nothing was prepared. And then when eventually he decided to flip-flop and say, yes, we will send somebody in, it was only because in his mind as a legal official, we're not breaking international law, not because we strongly believe in this. And of course, that delay meant that nothing was ready. And then we find out HMS Dragon is still anchored in Portsmouth with scaffolding all over it, and that the 2 aircraft carriers are both out of service at the moment. So everything was slow off the mark. And you know, we've also got the Prime Minister, or no, I think it was the Foreign Minister of Cyprus, saying that if Britain isn't prepared to come and defend its bases in Akrotiri here, then we should start having a look at whether we should have them in the first place. That's a very damaging thing to say when we have 7 major bases between Cyprus and the Gulf, all of which employ something like 2,500 UK military personnel. So we really are damaging our image in the eyes of the world.
So the dithering has actually destabilised, hasn't it?
Absolutely. There's no other word for it. Yes, we've made ourselves look a bit of a laughingstock, to be honest, on this, because it's not only President Trump, but it's everybody who's saying, you know, what is Britain? Britain used to be. Well, Britain are supposed to be the second biggest power within NATO, and it really doesn't look like that. We do look diminished, not only as a military force, but our political people in the UK have taken a real battering.
What are we to make of President Trump then in all of this, when he says things along the line of, well, you know, you're looking at deploying HMS Prince of Wales. Basically, it's too little, too late. What's the point of deploying when we've already won? I mean, that's dangerous language from any president at the start of, you know, when you're at the beginning of a conflict. However, nevertheless, it's such a damning indictment, and I wonder whether, does that damage the special relationship, or does it just damage the personal relationship between Number 10 and the White House?
Well, don't forget, Steve, now only a few weeks ago that we've had President Trump saying that he quite likes Keir Starmer, and now he's really laying into him. Of course, he's a bit erratic and unpredictable, the US president, so it's no surprise that he speaks his mind in a really robust way like this. But nevertheless, that is a really damaging thing to say. And the problem for Keir Starmer is that if we're not there with our big ally, and the big ally is drifting apart from us, then it really is bad to get that back on track.
Well, it's as Tony Blair said, you know, if you do have a friend, an ally, who is going to rely on you as much as you might rely on them at some point in the future, then you stand up, don't you? You get up and you support them, and that's what we haven't done. Now, apparently, we know from the Truth Social post that Donald Trump has basically said to Keir Starmer, "I don't need your help anymore. I don't need your aircraft carrier. You know, you can keep it because we've already won." But Britons. Particularly those in Cyprus, they need that sort of protective force, don't they? We should still be sending the ships that we've promised.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why the Cypriot foreign minister is also being critical, and then Admiral Lord West, the former First Sea Lord, is also saying, it's astonishing that we haven't got the ships to send out there so quickly. I mean, once we used to talk about Britannia ruling the waves. It certainly isn't the case anymore, because they're relying on French, Greek, and even Dutch naval forces to protect our interests in the region. So it really is an absolute and utter shambles.
What did you make of Sir Richard Knighton yesterday, who, I mean, rather surprisingly, I have to say, seemed to come out with a political line. And rather than taking the military line on this, just seemed to toe the political line of saying, look, we have sent some stuff over there, we've sent some equipment over there, we didn't know this was happening. It seemed a very odd thing for him to do. Yes,
but at the end of the day, when military action is taken, it is down to politicians to have that clear vision of what is right for Britain's interests and to know where they stand. And yet we seem to have been dithering from one end to the other. 1 minute we're not getting involved, and the next minute, we're getting involved, but only on a limited defensive operations. And what Keir Starmer has managed to do here is to alienate the USA by saying we're not getting involved, and then at the same time alienating all our allies in the Middle East. Quite a few of them there who are saying, where are you, Britain? Why aren't you out here? And then in flip-flopping and saying, well, we're going to go in for a limited defensive operations only, he then frustrates and angers his own party, the left of the Labour Party, who want Britain to stay out of this entirely. So he's managed to achieve what seems totally incredible, to upset everybody on every viewpoint on this conflict.
Going to resign over this, is he? You sense that he is at least being faithful to his own beliefs, and he won't be swayed by anything President Trump says now. You just wonder where it leaves everything like what we used to call the special relationship, particularly in the light of the fact that there's meant to be a state visit happening at the end of next month, celebrating 250 years of American independence. I mean, where does that put the King and Queen now?
Absolutely, as you say, the word special relationship, and I don't know whether any of you know, but it was 80 years ago last week that phrase was first uttered, and here it is now looking stretched as far as we've ever seen it before, and the King's visit now really is under threat over there's been a number of reasons which have put it in difficulty. One of which was the Chagos Islands, and then you have the other outpourings by the President of the United States. But nevertheless, with a war going on and with tensions between the Prime Minister and the President at breaking point, it would look really odd if the King went out there and was being feted by the White House.
OK.
On
David?
the other hand, as we were discussing earlier, maybe this is the time for the King's soft power. Yeah. Well, maybe we need it.
Very possibly. All right, David, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure, always pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's cross to Washington now, where we find US political analyst Eric Ham. Good morning, Eric, or good evening, or whatever it is with you. I mean, I just wonder, we now feel that, President Trump has come out with this extraordinary condemnation of Keir Starmer. Can it be rescued, or does it not matter?
It does matter. It matters a lot, because this war is likely to go for much greater than the 4 to 5 weeks that President Trump has already suggested that it could last. And we know that the United States is going to need all of its allies, particularly now that we're getting word that Russia is providing intelligence to Iran, particularly on key U.S. military installations and movements. So the president is going to need friends. And of course, we know this is an instance where when you look at the wars that have taken place in the Middle East, going all the way back to when President George H.W. Bush went in to liberate Kuwait from Saddam Hussein. These wars have always been wars where there were coalition of the willing. There were partners that were there with the United States, not the United States alone. And that is what we're seeing play out right now today. And Donald Trump is continuing to go after allies, to go after friends, and he's going to need those friends and allies. That's typically how the world works when you're trying to uphold a framework that's been in place for the last 6 or 7 decades. And quite frankly, Donald Trump just doesn't understand that, particularly given that this is going to be a much, much different fight that the United States is engaged in, very different from even what we've seen recently when the president unilaterally decided to go into Venezuela.
OK, Eric, good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
At 19 minutes past 6, and this ties in, actually, quite nicely, the King will highlight the value of traditional alliances and international friendships at a time of increasing pressures of conflict. That's in his Commonwealth Day message. He'll tell member countries that working together, the institution can remain a force for good. A service will be held at Westminster Abbey tomorrow.
Universities that fail to prevent extremism will face sanctions and could be shut down. The Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson also says Vice-Chancellors will be issued guidance on how to vet external speakers to make sure they don't support terrorism. The Office for Student Watchdog will monitor universities and be given powers to intervene.
And 6 years on from, well, the start, I guess, of the coronavirus pandemic, the National Memorial Day has been described as a moment for pause to remember those who died alongside frontline health and social care workers. It comes after the final public hearings in the inquiry were held last week.
It's amazing that the COVID inquiry has been rumbling along all this time. Can you imagine how much it's cost?
And I don't know what it's achieved, really.
No, and when it comes up with its conclusions, will we take any notice? I don't think people would this time if it happened again.
No.
God forbid, though.
Well, it will happen again at some point, won't it?
Yes, it's bound to.
It's, it's like an inevitability.
But I don't think people will go into lockdown again.
No.
They won't accept the sort of strict, even if it's fatal in some cases, as it obviously was. I don't think the country would go along with it this time.
No. Probably not.
Anyway, let's not talk about that.
No, let's not. It hasn't happened yet.
Try and find some optimism in the weather. Here's Catherine Chalk.
Good luck.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more cloud in the forecast today. Some sunny breaks for some of us, though, and some patchy rain and drizzle too, especially across England and Wales. So across eastern parts of Scotland, though, and southern parts of Scotland, that's where we're going to hold on to the best of the sunshine today, even for eastern parts of Northern Ireland. To the west of that, cloud and outbreaks of rain across the Outer Hebrides. Otherwise, for much of England and Wales, it's a cloudy picture with showery outbreaks of rain pushing their way northwards. There may be some breaks in the cloud across the far southeast. Temperatures rising here 14-15 degrees, elsewhere around 12 to 13. Now, as we head through this evening then, the clear skies persisting across eastern parts of Scotland and towards the south. Out towards the west, that's where we have this lingering cold front bringing outbreaks of rain across the inner and outer Hebrides. Similar picture across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here, drier to the east. Otherwise, a lot of low cloud persisting across England and Wales. And as we head through Sunday evening and overnight, that cloud will lower even more, will give some murky conditions, some outbreaks of rain and also a lot of hill fog. So showery outbreaks of rain will continue to push their way northward into parts of Wales and eventually also into southern parts of Scotland. Most places a cloudy night to come, so temperatures will be holding up, quite a mild night, but in the far north, that's where we hold on clear skies, so perhaps a touch of frost to start Monday. Otherwise, a much damper picture across eastern parts of Scotland and southern Scotland with showery outbreaks of rain. A few brighter breaks developing across Northern Ireland on Monday, but for the vast majority of England and Wales, still holding on to that cloudy theme, but perhaps some brighter breaks eventually developing across the southeast. Temperatures up on recent days, highs of up to 17 degrees.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, it's coming up to 24 minutes past 6 and it's time for the Daily Reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
My name's Marcus Mack. I'm a vicar in the Church of England. On a hot summer's day, a woman came to a well to quench her thirst. A man who was there asked her for a drink. After a brief conversation, he made an outrageous claim. He said, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." Life can sometimes feel like going from one physical well to another, as we try to quench our spiritual thirst, but always feeling unsatisfied. Going from one purchase to another, pursuing that next experience, that next relationship, that next thrill, consuming and consuming, trying to fill our lives with what we think will quench unfulfilled desire. C.S. Lewis wrote with great insight when he said, "If we find ourselves with a desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that we were made for another world." That man making that outrageous claim was Jesus Christ. He was from another world, and he promised to quench our spiritual thirst, satisfying our deepest desires.
I suppose it really is the time at the moment to have a daily reflection, isn't it? Because of all the things happening in the world. Right, in a couple of moments, we're going to be talking about this. Second home owners in North Yorkshire are selling their properties because of the hike in council tax on second homes. So we'll be discussing that next.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, Parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
.629 now. Second homeowners in North Yorkshire are selling their properties, some of them at least, due to a hike in council tax, and are urging the local authority to reduce the charges.
Yeah, this comes as more than 200 English councils have charged second homeowners double the council tax since the powers were granted last April. I've certainly noticed it on the south coast. The people are selling their holiday flats. Not unfortunately at reduced prices yet, but it is having an effect.
Well, North Yorkshire Council introduced the premium last year, and they've renewed it after it so far raised more than £10 million in revenue.
Our reporter Anna Riley visited Filey, Anna Riley and Filey, to find out more.
It's been up for sale for a year.
This retired couple have been forced to sell their holiday home. It's in the seaside town of Filey, where second homeowners have to pay double the rate of council tax on their property. The levy will cost Chris and Alison £4,000 a year, double the tax they pay on their primary house in Leeds. They don't rent out the flat and have owned it for the last 15 years.
We think it's very unfair.
We're basically paying our council tax to get the bins emptied.
Second homeowners are here year round. We use local restaurants, local shops, we use local services, you know, sort of like plumbers, roofers, etc. You know, I think we contribute quite a lot.
The tax was brought in by North Yorkshire Council to bring unused properties into full-time occupation or let others get on the property ladder. More homes are now for sale, but not necessarily selling.
The properties which are coming onto the market, the flats on the Crescent and the flats in the town centre, and a lot of them don't have parking, they don't have outside space, which first-time buyers want. But most of them that are coming up for sale that are second homes are normally the ones that you can't holiday let.
So far, the scheme's raised over £10 million across North Yorkshire, with the money set to be spent on housing projects. But there's concern that it will turn tourist resorts like Filey into ghost towns.
The second home levy is absolutely ridiculous. Tourists come in the summer and people with holiday homes come in the winter time, and they come all year round, and they actually spend the money in the town. This has not solved any problems for the residents of Filey, especially when you consider the 3 or 4 million that they've taken from Filey hasn't built any houses in Filey.
Locals here have mixed views on the extra charges for second holiday homes.
In some ways, I think it's a good thing to kind of try to help people who are living locally buy a house, but then at the same time, we're a seaside town and we need the holidaymakers here to help keep seaside towns going.
If that stops people from having holiday homes to then rent out to people to come and visit this beautiful place, then who's going to live in them?
I do see why they're doing it, but you only have to look around and see a number of properties for sale to see what it's actually done. So is it going to be a benefit in the long run? I'm not sure.
A stellar strategy or a cash grab? For people here, time will tell. Anna Riley, GB News, Filey.
It's one of those things where they haven't thought about the unintended consequences.
Exactly. I mean, the idea was to make it fairer so that people can't, if they want second homes, they have to pay through the nose for them. From a council tax point of view, they have to contribute for when they're not there.
Yeah, but also locals then, there's more properties on the market for locals. And I get that, and that does make sense, but when you're looking at a tourist resort...
They need tourist dollars.
Yeah.
But... Yeah, it's a lovely looking place, though, isn't it? It's sort of
lovely.
Old-fashioned seaside holiday resort.
Proper British.
And then I think it was where the first Butlins holiday camp was built.
Oh.
I'm not sure whether it was the first, but it was one of the very famous Butlins holiday camps was at Filey, which is why we all know the name so well, I think.
Yeah, well, it's those of us of a certain age.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's very true. Very true.
Very true. Right, anyway, look, if you fancy getting out and about on your holidays, how about a camper van? What's a great way to do it? A very, very fancy four-berth camper van worth more than £67,000, plus 25 grand in cash. It could all be yours. Here's how you enter.
It's a prize package worth over £92,000 and it could be all yours in our very latest Great British Giveaway. There's a totally tax-free £25,000 in cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like this year. Plus, you'll also get to drive away in a brand new Benevan 122 camper van. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this latest 2026 model comes fully loaded with everything you'd expect. You can even drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, it comfortably sleeps 4 people. Make sure you don't miss out on the biggest prize package of the year so far. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck with that. Me saying that Filey was probably the first Butlins, it wasn't the first, it was the third. The first one was in Skegness. And then Clacton. And then they started building Filey, the Butlins holiday camp, in 1939. And, of course, then the war broke out. So all of those existing Butlins became military camps.
Did they?
During the war. And then at the end of the war, they were opened up again for tourists.
Oh.
Fascinating, isn't it?
It was so popular, though. I always think more of Maplins rather than Butlins. I can't help myself.
No, well, that's... Yeah.
I know.
Billy Butlin.
Billy Butlin, yeah. Right, still to come. We're talking Six Nations as England suffer their first loss to Italy. Aidan's got the details next.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
We have a shortage of workers in one sense because the birth rate's so low. We're just not producing enough young people to take the place of those.
Well, we also have a million of those young people.
We also have lots of people, not just young people, people of all ages who are not employed and being paid benefits and no requirement to work.
Well, there's a million.
We've had mass immigration, but then we've also got rising unemployment now because of the bureaucracy, the tax. So we don't need more workers' rights. There's not a problem in terms of workers' rights. There's much more.
You'll get your say in a minute.
And we have coming down the line AI, which is already laying off people. We're going to have more and more people unemployed and unemployable because whatever the AI big bots say, where they say, oh, they'll just lose all of their boring jobs and they'll do a more interesting job. If they could do a more interesting job, they'd be doing it.
And no less a figure than Alan Milburn, former Labour cabinet minister under Blair, who's been brought back by Mark Starmer to run one of his many
He's the employment czar.
Yeah, but he talked only yesterday about what's happening with 1 million people not in employment, training, education, 18 to 25 young people. And he said that it's a dependency culture, and he thinks it will damage them for life. And he said it's going to get worse with AI, and unemployment, we now know, is being predicted to go even higher.
It's bad. It's bad for those young people who are kind of lost. It's bad for communities, and it's bad for the economy. You've got to get them into work, but you don't get them into work by thinking they're just slaves. Like, you give people decent rights, a decent rate of pay, you're more likely to get them into work.
So decent rate of pay, very important. Now, the problem is, though, that if you raise the minimum wage to so close to the median wage, you lose all the kind of differentiation between low-paid jobs and middle-paid jobs. Employers then can't promote people.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Aidan's got the sport this morning. Oh, heck, what is going on with Steve Borthwick?
Well, look, I think there have to be serious questions raised over his reign as the England coach. I mean, just to recap, I mean, Italy defeated England in Rome 23-18. I mean, this was just not predicted yesterday. Italy, we had our guest on yesterday. We were talking about how they've been involved in a resurgence in recent weeks in this Six Nations. They're always the wooden spooners, apart from a couple of times recently when Wales have been even worse. But for them to win 2 matches now, one against Scotland on opening night. Scotland responded, though. Scotland had an embarrassing defeat in Rome, and they've responded since. I mean, we'll come on to their win against France yesterday. England, you know, having beaten Wales on the opening day, everyone thought that they were going to go on and win the Grand Slam. They were talking about a Grand Slam decider against France next week. I mean, do me a favour. I mean, yesterday, they were absolutely abject. I have to say, I watched it all, and the indiscipline was just incredible. The captain, Mauro Toji, gets a yellow, and that puts England down to 13 men. They lost Sam Underhill for a while as well, and it should have been a red, some would argue, and that kind of indiscipline. If you go to Italy, Anne, if you play your game, historically, you beat Italy, even though they're improving. If you give them a little bit of an opening on their own turf in Rome at the Stadio Olimpico, they are extremely dangerous opponents. It's good for the sport in general. We like to see the minnows, which Italy have certainly been in the last 26 years. They've been talked down the years of, you know, are they really good enough to be in this tournament? Do they deserve to be there? But that's not the case anymore because they're really coming up on the blind side of England. And England was suffering yesterday. That's the first time they've had 3. So if they lose next week against France in Paris, which is going to be extremely tough, notwithstanding the fact that France lost yesterday. If they lose that, that's the first time they've lost 4 Six Nations matches. And as I say, prior to this, they were talking about winning everything and sweeping all before them. Let's hear from Steve Borthwick yesterday after that defeat in Rome.
It's tough right now. There's no doubt about it. We're not hiding away from the fact it's tough. We're not where we want to be in terms of results and in terms of performances. And I said to you that I didn't think the intensity in the last game was where it needed to be. I thought that the players, the intensity was much improved, much more like the team. And as I say, for 60 minutes, I thought the team did a lot of very, very good things today.
One of our viewers has just emailed in. Said, who's going to go first then, Borthwick or Starmer?
Oh, that's a really good question, isn't it? Really good question. I'll possibly answer
It'll be
that
Borthwick.
next.
Because footballers get rid of people, don't they?
It's easier to get rid of the coach because otherwise you have to sack the players. But let's come on to that next hour because it would be remiss of me not to mention Scotland. They're talking now that this 50-40 win against France yesterday at Murrayfield in front of Princess Anne might be the best result in 40 years. They were absolutely outstanding yesterday. They took their chances against France. I still think France will go on and win the event, but it's blown the tournament right open. And what do we always say about sport? We love competition. Yes. That's exactly what we're going to get next week, and I cannot wait.
Lovely.
Good.
All right, Aidan, we'll see you later. Thank you very much indeed.
Right, still to come, Emma Wolfe and Kevin Schofield are going to be with us to go through today's newspaper stories. First of all, though, if you're in search of some holiday sun, oh, yes, craving it at the moment, here is the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, it's a mixed picture across Europe. Rain in places, but also some showers, sunnier across Greece. So some strong winds across Madeira and the Canary Islands with some outbreaks of rain, more so across much of Portugal through Monday. Showers heavy at times across much of the Mediterranean, but drier across Greece. That's where we'll see some sunny spells. And that theme continues really through the week. Best of the sunshine across Greece, highs of up to 17 to 19.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
Will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Right, at 6:46, time for the papers with Kevin Schofield, the political editor of HuffPost UK, and the author and journalist Emma Wolfe. Good morning to you both. Let's start with the Sunday Telegraph, Kevin, looking at Tony Blair rebuking Keir Starmer. It's not often you get former Prime Ministers attacking a current Prime Minister, especially from the same party.
No, exactly, and I think Blair will maybe be a tiny bit embarrassed this morning because these were remarks at a private event which weren't supposed to be shared publicly. However, if you say them, there's always a good chance, especially these days. And he's really gone for it. I mean, on the one hand, it's not surprising given Blair burnt an awful lot of political capital back in the early 2000s by going to Iraq with George Bush. Some would say it tainted his legacy forever. But yeah, he's making a good point here, I think, that, if you are an ally you have to be an ally from the very beginning.
Do you know what you said there earlier? This isn't an accident, this was leaked. I mean, that's the way you do it, isn't it? You say something and then you defend yourself by saying, actually, that was private.
It's a more subtle way of doing it. Although he does also say, no, this isn't, I'm not saying anything I haven't said to the government, so I'm sure he is saying it behind the scenes, but to have it splashed across the front pages isn't good for Keir Starmer.
But for Keir Starmer to wake up in number 10 Downing Street and look at the fact that he's now been personally attacked by Trump and Blair. It's pretty harsh, isn't it?
There's all sorts of history. Obviously, Blair is still trying to, rewrite history, and he was, so involved in the Iraq War that he's trying to sort of rewrite that. But if you actually look at what he says, if someone is your ally, a fundamental cornerstone of your security, you better show up. He says you should stand by your allies. You get a crisis in your life, so your friends stand by you. They were asking to use our bases for refuelling. It's not like Vietnam. It's not like Iraq. A lot of what Blair says, and he's not my cup of tea, and I think a lot of us have, a lot of feelings about Tony Blair and his involvement with Trump and his involvement in that kind of peace plan and all of that. Still, though, those words are going to sting Starmer.
Mind you, isn't there an argument from Starmer where you could say, well, look, you were criticised for being Bush's poodle, and I've stood up to an American president.
Yeah, albeit only for 24 hours, because he said no at first, that he wouldn't allow America to use British bases.
And then he turned on usage of the bases.
Yeah.
And then he said, all right, we'll get one of our ships ready. Mind you,
eventually.
Hasn't left Portsmouth yet. And then suddenly now he's saying, all right, we'll send an aircraft carrier as well.
It just all seems a bit after the fact, doesn't it? It's, it's not as if we didn't know that America were planning to do
well,
this.
exactly.
We
knew. So I don't know how the number 10 didn't.
Yeah.
Which ties into the Sunday Times, Emma, with Trump telling Starmer last night, we don't need people that join wars after we've already won.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, Starmer is not going to enjoy the papers over his cornflakes this morning. Trump has been increasingly kind of rambling over the past few days, but I do think this post on his Truth Social account was really something. He says, we will remember, we don't need people that join wars after we've already won. Of course they haven't already won. Of course Trump is going off on one. But it's pretty damning. The way he talks about the United Kingdom, once our great ally, simply wasn't there. And you can't disagree with that. And the point about that Tony Blair makes, and the point about being an ally, is you're reliable. You're an ally there reliably.
But the argument is... And international law, and you say, well, do we have to be an ally when we think our ally is breaking international law?
OK, well, Starmer hasn't held firm on anything. He's been indecisive, he's been vacillating. That's not reliable. He doesn't actually seem to know what he thinks. And why is it that we always, I was going to say people like you, but it's not people like you, it's people on the left, tend to invoke international law in certain cases.
But this is always my argument with international law, because it's been invoked a lot lately.
Yes.
And I don't know what it is.
Nobody knows what it is.
Nobody agrees on it.
Was Ayatollah Khomeini, was he observing international law?
Yeah, well, so why should we be the only ones that adhere to international law? You're right, when the Iranian regime killed tens of thousands of protesters.
And anyway...
In January.
The sovereign base in Cyprus is British land.
And it's under attack.
It's been under...
Yeah, you think that would get... I'm not a lawyer myself, but you think that gives you just cause to retaliate.
And I think this is... just defend ourselves. We're not even retaliating, but I also think this has exposed how unprepared this Prime Minister, and you can blame the last Conservative government, you can blame decades of underfunding, but how exposed and how unprepared we are that we didn't have any warships in this region for the first time in half a century.
Well, look, I agree. I mean, it's shocking, the state of our armed forces at the moment. But nevertheless, we could have had it ready because it could have been pre-deployed. We knew it was, we knew it was coming. It could have gone a fortnight ago.
Yeah. It's the fact that it wasn't even ready to go. It's having to be kitted out. It's still in Portsmouth, isn't it? It's been kitted out.
Also exposed just how old-fashioned, left-wing this socialist government is. I mean, they're anti-war, and very clearly Starmer would do anything to avoid going to war.
I'm anti-war. I'm not a warmonger. I don't want us to be bombing other countries. I don't want us to be getting involved in other people's regime change. I think that is a path to disaster. But I do think that Starmer's been utterly unclear. If you're not ready to be a leader and make decisions and keep your country safe, you don't deserve to be the Prime Minister.
But he shot himself in the foot politically, hasn't he? Because he's upset the right by saying, well, we're not going to do it, we're not getting involved, but then he's upset the left by doing it anyway. So he's upset everybody.
He pleases nobody. He's trying to plot a middle course when, as you say, on the left, the Greens are saying you shouldn't be involved in this at all in any way, shape or form, and on the right, the Tories and Reform are saying, well, you should have been much more stronger with Donald Trump. I think what's also interesting is, all that political capital that Keir Starmer used up wooing Donald Trump once he came into the White House. Everyone's saying, hasn't he done a great job? You'd never have thought they would get on, but they clearly have a real relationship. That's been blown to bits.
Yeah, it's
so
gone.
all that good work that he tried to do with Trump has just been chucked on a fire.
It's a question I've asked people a few times. I've never really got a clear answer. I don't know if there is one. But it's whether the special relationship between our countries is damaged, or is it just the personal relationship, the temporary relationship between the White House and Number 10?
Yeah, I think the personal relationship obviously is very important, but I think it will continue. Keir Starmer may not be Prime Minister in 6 months' time. We know that Donald Trump probably won't be President in 3 years' time. So, it will continue.
To ask, it's in the Daily Mail, isn't it, Kevin, that could King Charles possibly help heal the wound?
Well, they're now saying that there's doubt over whether he's going to be going to America in April for the 250th anniversary of America, those celebrations. That could be a casualty of this frostiness between the two countries, and so then you're politicising the monarchy as well, which is never a good place to be.
No, that wouldn't be a good look at all, would it? All right, you two, thank you very much indeed. We shall see you a little bit later on, of course. Look forward to that.
Right, let's find out what the weather's got in store for us. Here's Catherine Chalk.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more cloud in the forecast today. Some sunny breaks for some of us, though, and some patchy rain and drizzle too, especially across England and Wales. So across eastern parts of Scotland, though, and southern parts of Scotland, that's where we're going to hold on to the best of the sunshine today, even for eastern parts of Northern Ireland. To the west of that, cloud and outbreaks of rain across the Outer Hebrides. Otherwise, for much of England and Wales, it's a cloudy picture with showery outbreaks of rain pushing their way northwards. There may be some breaks in the cloud across the far southeast, temperatures rising here 14-15 degrees, elsewhere around 12 to 13. Now, as we head through this evening then, the clear skies persisting across eastern parts of Scotland and towards the south. Out towards the west, that's where we have this lingering cold front bringing outbreaks of rain across the inner and outer Hebrides. Similar picture across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here, drier to the east. Otherwise, a lot of low cloud persisting across England and Wales. And as we head through Sunday evening and overnight, that cloud will lower even more, will give some murky conditions, some outbreaks of rain and also a lot of hill fog. So showery outbreaks of rain will continue to push their way northward into parts of Wales and eventually also into southern parts of Scotland. Most places a cloudy night to come, so temperatures will be holding up, quite a mild night, but in the far north, that's where we hold on clear skies, so perhaps a touch of frost to start Monday. Otherwise, a much damper picture across eastern parts of Scotland and southern Scotland with showery outbreaks of rain. A few brighter breaks developing across Northern Ireland on Monday, but for the vast majority of England and Wales, still holding on to that cloudy theme, but perhaps some brighter breaks eventually developing across the southeast. Temperatures up on recent days, highs of up to 17 degrees.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's a prize package worth over £92,000. There's a totally tax-free £25,000 in cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like this year. Plus, you'll also get to drive away in a brand new Benevan 122 camper van. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this latest 2026 model comes fully loaded with everything you'd expect. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. As President Trump refuses support from the Prime Minister and launches a scathing attack on the United Kingdom, where has this left the special relationship?
And all of this is happening as HMS Prince of Wales, the aircraft carrier, prepares for possible deployment to the Middle East. And the US president promises complete destruction and certain death to targets in Iran.
Meanwhile, Tony Blair has chimed in, condemning Sir Keir over his decision not to support the American strikes.
Councils in Britain are divided over the second home council tax surge introduced by the government. We'll be hearing from locals in Yorkshire on how the scheme has impacted their community.
Tourists come in the summer and people with holiday homes come in the winter time, and they come all year round, and they actually spend the money in the town. This has not solved any problems for the residents of Filey.
Now, as the cost of translation in the NHS more than doubles in a year, should English be a requirement to work for the NHS?
And scientists have successfully changed the course of an asteroid for the first time. NASA has really pulled off a real-life Armageddon.
Wrexham came close to producing a Hollywood ending against Chelsea last night before VAR intervened to help knock them out of the FA Cup. Meanwhile, Britain's George Russell dazzles on opening day as he triumphs at the Australian Grand Prix.
Will you see any sunshine today? Well, I'll have all of the details in the forecast coming up shortly.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast. Donald Trump has apparently made it very clear in his Truth Social post that now we have decided, or we're considering sending an aircraft carrier, which isn't ready yet, to the Middle East. Donald Trump has made it very clear that, you're too late, we don't need it anymore. But we in Britain and our British forces in Cyprus and people like that, the aircraft carrier is needed.
Why do we need an aircraft carrier over there?
Well, I haven't found out yet which aircraft are on it.
Because if we're doing, basically for Cyprus, we need anti-ballistic missile stuff, which a Type 45 destroyer can do. So why send out an aircraft carrier?
Because also tornadoes can deliver those sort of munitions.
But they can just use the base, can't they? At Akrotiri.
Yeah. OK,
So
I don't know, because I'm not a military strategist, but it seems sensible to me to send an aircraft carrier there.
Oh, it's not a bad idea.
To support whoever needs it.
Well, yeah, all right, fair point.
We should be showing some sort of force, shouldn't we?
Fair point.
At Fairford, and we're going to be crossing live to Fairford a bit later in the programme, see what's landing and what's taking off. But one of the aircraft that landed in the last couple of days was one of those enormous haulage aircraft that can carry anything. Could carry 14 helicopters inside it.
Oh, are they C-130s, something like that?
Yeah,
is that one we saw the picture of yesterday?
No, that's a B-1.
Yeah.
That's a B-1.
This is one of these enormous haulage things that can carry tanks if necessary. I doubt we need tanks at Fairford at the moment. You never know, though.
I still can't understand how they get up in the air.
But how do you fit in those helicopters into an aircraft? It's astonishing, isn't it?
It's incredible. It's incredible what they're doing. They take the rotors off and all that.
Well, yes, that's right. They fold down, don't they? Yeah. But also, apparently at Fairford there's going to be at least 1,000 American servicemen and women brought in as well. So,
because
it's going to be very, very busy at Fairford.
Yeah, but it's...
One wonders for how long.
It's why we have these bases, isn't it? And it's why we've got Diego Garcia and all the rest of it, for us and allies to use when necessary.
And you never know when you're going to need them, do you?
No.
Well, no.
Well, no, clearly.
But this is the point. This whole argument about the peace dividend or whatever that we've had problems with, which
we've been living with.
Yeah, we've lived in a peaceful world for quite, comparatively, for a long time, post the big wars and the Cold War, and so we've let everything slide.
Yeah.
But that then means
spending money where we need
that means we're vulnerable, and when it all ramps up, we're not able to respond, which we're clearly not at the moment. It's a nightmare. So crazy. I'm afraid we do need to spend considerably more on defence, even when we are living in a peaceful world.
You need foresight as well, though, don't you? And I suppose when you have a general election every 4 or 5 years and possible change of government every 4 or 5 years, politicians don't take the long-term view.
No.
It's not a vote winner, is it? Defence.
No. Well, not when it's...
It might be now.
Not when it's peaceful.
Spending money isn't a vote on things that don't immediately impact people's lives. Yeah. Anyway, if you can solve the problems, let us know.
Yeah, I'm sure you've got a view. The Prime Minister has been told by President Trump that the United States does not need its once great ally now to send aircraft carriers to the Middle East.
Yes, in that post on Truth Social, the US President said he will remember the lack of British support for his war with Iran, claiming he doesn't need people that join wars after they've already been won.
Well, also, adding to the woes for number 10, Tony Blair has now criticised Keir Starmer, saying the UK should have supported America from the very start.
Joining us now, journalist and broadcaster Jonathan Scacciadotti, and it's very good to talk to you this morning. What do you think of this post on Truth Social overnight? And does it mark an absolute end to the special relationship? And does that matter?
Well, it's scathing, isn't it, Anne? I mean, reading what he said, the United Kingdom, our once great ally, once great, and the greatest of them all, is finally giving serious thought to sending 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East. That's OK, Prime Minister Starmer. We don't need them any longer, but we will remember. I mean, it couldn't really be more scathing, more cutting if he wanted it to. And it's not the first time. There were those comments he made the other day where he said this was no Churchill sitting in front of a bust of Churchill in the Oval Office. Donald Trump Trump's being very, very clear here what he thinks about Keir Starmer, what he thinks about this government, really what he thinks about Great Britain as it is at the moment. And that's really quite damaging, I think, for that special relationship. But many people watching this say it's deserved. It seems even Tony Blair thinks that Keir Starmer has acted incorrectly in terms of this. And it's a very difficult situation for Starmer, who I think has wanted to satisfy large portions of the UK electorate who aren't behind Britain getting involved in this action. But he's just played it so badly. He appears to have done the worst of both worlds.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Because even if he did something we disagreed with, if he stuck to his guns, you could at least, even begrudgingly, respect his position. But he's obviously switched.
Yeah, I mean, stuck to his guns. It's like he doesn't have any guns. He's looking for the guns. Maybe they're on the ship that's being fixed. I mean, it's only reflected, actually, how poor the UK military position is for anything as well. And I think that's also very damaging for the UK, because it's made Britain look weak. And that's really the last thing that's needed, especially as it turns out Britain might well be weak. So at least it could look strong. I think Keir Starmer has really fumbled his way through this. And also watching the Defence Secretary on Sky News saying that this action in Iran was different from last time, and that's why they're now reconsidering and trying to get involved, because he said last time the Iranian strikes only aimed at military targets and were proportionate. Well, I can tell you, I was sitting in bomb shelters every night in Tel Aviv during the 12-day war, sheltering from ballistic missiles which were raining down on the whole of Israel from top to bottom. They were not aimed at military targets. They were aimed at civilian targets. They were aimed at the Weizmann Institute, a leading scientific research centre. They were aimed at a hospital. They were aimed at people's homes. They killed civilians predominantly. So to hear again this government saying that the Iranian actions back in June were proportionate and the Iranian actions back in June were aimed at military targets also shows that they're either dim or they're liars. And I think it really reveals their attitude not just towards the US, but towards the great ally that this country has in the state of Israel. And again, I think we all know why they're doing that, but it just makes them look weak. I don't think anything they're doing satisfies the people they're doing this for, and I don't think it satisfies their moral obligation on the world stage to actually act against evil. This country, Britain, has said numerous times from top level that the Iranian regime, the Islamic Republic regime, has tried to kill people on British soil 15, 20 times. They just arrested 4 Iranians, 3 of them dual nationals, for alleged surveillance of Jewish targets to try to carry out terrorist attacks here in the United Kingdom. What clearer reason could they have? They have still Craig and Lindsay Foreman, 2 British people who were taken prisoner in Iran and sentenced now to a jail sentence. They were tourists who were on a motorbike trip going through Iran. They are now stuck in Iran. We had Nazanin Zaghari Radcliffe. We had some years back the British Navy personnel who were seized and held hostage by the Iranian regime. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but the actual list of direct challenges, attacks, aggressions towards the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, that list is long enough that Britain ought to have at least had sterner words to say.
Yes, but this Prime Minister constantly invokes international law. What's your understanding of international law? Who makes international law? Who enforces it? Or is it just dreamed up by people who just want an excuse?
I think this is one of the interesting questions of our time because, you know, international law is a great idea, I suppose, and it works well when everybody is obeying it. But that's the catch. When some countries and actors aren't obeying international law, it means that it just puts you in a position of great weakness when you stick to it and invoke it constantly as some sort of mantra, but a mantra which makes you act, let's say, immorally or unethically, or lets you sit back and watch great wrongdoings being done, let's say to the Iranian people being slaughtered in their tens of thousands, or to your own citizens whose lives have been put at risk by the Islamic Republic regime's actions here in the UK, as I mentioned before. So I think the idea of international law being the reason that Keir Starmer and the UK government doesn't get involved, well, I think that's for the birds. In truth, they don't want to get involved, and that's fine. They should just say so. There could be plenty of ways that they could look at international law and find ways to get involved. I think there are plenty of justifiable reasons for Great Britain, just as there are for the State of Israel and there are for the United States of America, to be engaging in military action with the Islamic Republic of Iran. It is a country that has sponsored terrorism around the globe, including here, but in many countries around the globe. I mean, just in the first week of this war, the Iranian leadership attempted to widen the conflict across the region. They had missiles and drones launched not only towards Israel, but towards surrounding Gulf and Arab countries. And with the help of its regional proxies, Iran spread the extent of its attacks from Cyprus all the way to the coast of Sri Lanka. They said yesterday, through that statement of the Iranian president, that they were going to stop, finally, after a week, attacking neighbouring Arab countries, but they didn't. The fact is that this is a reckless and dangerous country, which, yes, of course, it's reacting to military action from Israel and America, but it's reacting as a sort of Catherine wheel, firing off attacks on all of its neighbours in the region. 12 countries it's tried to strike, has struck in that region. I think that the British position is looking increasingly weak, even if there is a justifiable reason or rationale for not getting involved. And even if that reason is British military weakness, just means that there isn't a lot Britain could do. They could have at least let Donald Trump use Diego Garcia. There are plenty of passive actions that Britain could have taken, which would have put Keir Starmer in a less awkward and feeble-looking position right now.
All right, Jonathan, good to talk to you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's a really interesting point, actually, because it's a case of saying, even if we could disagree with what Starmer's done, but if he held that position, outlined why clearly, but could still take that passive action and that defensive action.
To look for ways that he could help.
Yeah, but also even just simple things like, as we keep bleating on about, but sending HMS Dragon, or as it would have been HMS Duncan a couple of weeks ago, as a defensive point for Cyprus. I mean, that wouldn't have been seen necessarily as aggressive if he didn't want to appear remotely aggressive. It's just defensive action. But it's the fact he hasn't done any of it is hugely problematic, isn't it?
Yes. Exactly. He could have dithered in a much more constructive way.
Yeah. All right, let's talk to the Deputy Leader of Reform UK, Richard Tice, who's actually in Dubai. Richard, morning to you. What is the situation there?
Very good morning to you. Well, as I speak, all is relatively calm, but I can tell you that there is utter bewilderment, sadness, and frankly, despair, as well as some frustration amongst the Gulf states. I've been speaking to government officials, ambassadors, a number of people from different nationalities, just complete despair at the utter failure of the Prime Minister to show any leadership whatsoever, despair at the collapse in the UK's reputation around the world, despair, therefore, at the understandable frustration of President Trump, who clearly feels that Starmer is he's just a weak follower, a sort of Johnny-come-lately to the, to this vital endeavour. And it's remarkable how low our reputation has sunk so quickly here in the Middle East at this vital moment. What I can say is they're also delighted here at the performance of their Iron Dome type system, which has got a number of different levels and layers to it, which has intercepted a whisker under 100% of the some 1,000+ drones and missiles that have come over. The only ones they haven't intercepted are those that were basically going to land harmlessly in the sea. It's been truly remarkable, and there's been quite a lot of misreporting, Stephen and Anne, in the British press about what's happened here in the UAE. A number of the areas where you see what people think is a drone hitting, actually that is debris from a drone or missile that has been hit. That is debris hitting the ground or hitting buildings, as opposed to a full-on drone strike. So at the first time of asking in serious earnest, the leaders here are delighted with the performance of their security systems.
The performance of our Prime Minister at the moment, would you say it's sincere? And therefore, is it right that we, or anyone, let alone President Trump, should actually be criticising him for being earnest and being sincere in his beliefs?
People don't see it as sincere or earnest. They see it as weak and cowardly. And our reputation has been trashed around the world. You should be under no illusion whatsoever. And the reason I'm here, not only to be with my fiancée, but also actually to show solidarity with our friends and allies and partners here in the UAE, and to show some optimism that things will change post next general election, because this level of frustration, and when people say that they're grateful for the support of the French and the Canadians, which on one hand is good, but on the other hand is frankly so depressing for us in the UK to hear that, and then they sort of slightly despair at the, what have we got left? Have we got a destroyer that works, or haven't we? Does it need a bit of welding here and there, a bit of WD-40? I mean, we've become a laughing stock. People should be under no illusion the extent to which the UK has become an international, humiliated laughing stock amongst our partners and allies.
I wonder though, Richard, are you being unpatriotic? Because Baroness Hayter on the channel yesterday, I mean, she wasn't talking about reform, actually. She was talking about Kemi Badenoch, who's obviously been very critical of the Prime Minister. But she said about Kemi Badenoch, she's paid tribute to our forces, and we know reform very much backs our armed forces. If they are at war, you do not, as the leader of the opposition or as an opposition party, then start attacking the leadership of those forces, the Prime Minister. It's not practical, it's not patriotic, she said.
And she's completely wrong. I'm just giving you the hard, harsh, blunt facts about what has happened to the reputation of the United Kingdom amongst our allies and partners. And it's better to be truthful than to try and cover things up and pretend all is fine when it's not. And our brave armed forces, they need clear, strong, robust direction. They don't need to sort of have their hands tied behind their back, or one hand tied behind the back, and say, oh, you can defend once you've been attacked, but you can't defend. And the best form of defence, let's remember, is actually attack before someone lobs a missile at you. So I think our armed forces are despairing as well. And as you were touching on earlier, it does raise the serious question about how much we are spending on defence, and are we spending it well? And I think many in the armed forces, both current and retired, feel very, very strongly that we haven't been spending enough, we haven't been spending it well enough, and we haven't been maintaining our equipment. And some fundamental mistakes have been made because of the lack of political direction just in recent weeks. We could have sent that destroyer to Cyprus a number of weeks ago. We could have paused our astute submarine that was on a goodwill trip to Australia. That could have stopped near the Gulf to show support to the US strike groups. But oh no, our political leadership just blundered on.
But we've had, I mean, what's worrying about that, Richard, is we've had no explanation of that political decision not to pre-deploy anything. I mean, they keep saying, well, we've sent some equipment over and things, but that's not the point. It's the anti-ballistic capabilities that we need, which a Type 45 destroyer can provide. And they're not telling us why it didn't happen.
And there you are. And I think the answer is because they are vacillating. It's actually not clear now who's in charge. Is Starmer in charge, or is Red Ed Miliband in charge of this? He seems to have sort of led the cabinet coup. It just reeks of weakness and indecision. And, it's so important to be a reliable ally at moments of critical stress, and when one needs to stand together. And we've been left sort of drifting in the wind. We can't be trusted, can't be reliable, and people now worry we haven't got any decent kit either.
And of course, the real leader of the armed forces is the King. Should he say something or do something? Should he go to America for the 250th anniversary, just a few weeks time, to be there standing alongside a president who has so openly criticised his First Minister, his Prime Minister?
Well, obviously, we have a clear separation between the monarchy and the Prime Minister, so no, he shouldn't say anything specifically to interfere. But actually, of course, he should go to America, because there is a rebuilding of trust in the special relationship from what has now sunk to quite a low level. And actually, President Trump is a huge fan of the British monarchy, as we've seen in recent years. So that would be a great way to start to rebuild the relationship. It's going to take some time. It's not just a few words or one visit. And it's not just President Trump, it's the whole of the US administration. You know, confidence, it takes time to rebuild. And we now need to earnestly get on with that. So I think in that sense, absolutely, of course, the King should visit.
Meanwhile, before we say goodbye, what is life like in Dubai at the moment? I don't know if you've seen a video which has gone viral from one influencer who was there at the beach club and then just was taken by surprise, looked up into the sky, and there was an interception. There he is there. He's saying, here I am at the beach club, and look what's happening in the sky above me. The Iron Dome in action, I presume. I mean, but he's still on the beach. People are still enjoying life.
And that's the whole point, exactly that. Life goes on. I was at a dinner party with friends last night. People are resilient, determined, and there's no talk of any expats or people who've made their lives here panicking or leaving whatsoever. Of course, tourists who've had flights disrupted, you know, we understand that's different. But people are resilient and getting on with their lives. And frankly, many people say, I'm probably safer here than the risk of being stabbed on the streets of London. That's the sort of resilient attitude that I'm hearing here in the UAE.
OK, Richard, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah, apparently people, I mean, we've been watching, haven't we, people in Dubai who've been very anxious to get on a plane and come back to Britain or whatever. They're leaving their pets behind, which is causing a real problem. Apparently.
I mean, that's an awful thing.
Yeah.
But this is what I can't understand with all of this, is that you get some stories of people, you know, absolutely panicking, sleeping on mattresses in the basements of hotels and lots of things. But then a lot of people saying, well, it's all pretty normal,
get on with life.
Really.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot to see, and you know, Richard's there in his suit and looking smart and calm and collected and not panicking. So, I mean, I don't know what this... Unless you're out there yourself, I guess you can't really gauge it, but there's a lot of people not panicking. So...
And still at the beach club.
And still at the beach club having a cocktail.
Meanwhile, an Iron Dome has just sort of knocked off a drone in the sky above them.
Yeah.
Weird, isn't it?
It's an odd state of affairs. Anyway, look, it ties into all of that, actually, in our headlines this morning at 7:24. The King is going to highlight the value of traditional alliances and international friendships at a time of increasing pressures of conflict. It's his Commonwealth Day message. He'll tell member countries that working together, the institution can remain a force for good. There'll be a service at Westminster Abbey tomorrow.
Meanwhile, universities that fail to prevent extremism will face sanctions and could be shut down. The Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, has also said that Vice-Chancellors will be issued guidance on how to vet external speakers to make sure they don't support terrorism. The Office for Students Watchdog will monitor universities and be given powers to intervene.
And the British driver George Russell has won the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. Mercedes held first and second place, with Russell beating his teammate Kimi Antonelli by 2.9 seconds.
Wow.
World champion Lando Norris crossed the line in fifth, almost a minute behind.
Well, let's find out if the weather in Britain is anything like the weather in Dubai. I think not. I think not. I could barely see anything when I set off this morning. Very, very foggy it was, certainly where we were. Let's go over to Catherine Chalk now, who'll tell us more.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more cloud in the forecast today. Some sunny breaks for some of us, though, and some patchy rain and drizzle too, especially across England and Wales. So across eastern parts of Scotland, though, and southern parts of Scotland, that's where we're going to hold on to the best of the sunshine today, even for eastern parts of Northern Ireland. To the west of that, cloud and outbreaks of rain across the Outer Hebrides. Otherwise, for much of England and Wales, it's a cloudy picture with showery outbreaks of rain pushing their way northwards. There may be some breaks in the cloud across the far southeast, temperatures rising here 14-15 degrees, elsewhere around 12 to 13. Now, as we head through this evening then, the clear skies persisting across eastern parts of Scotland and towards the south. Out towards the west, that's where we have this lingering cold front bringing outbreaks of rain across the inner and outer Hebrides. Similar picture across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here, drier to the east. Otherwise, a lot of low cloud persisting across England and Wales. And as we head through Sunday evening and overnight, that cloud will lower even more, will give some murky conditions, some outbreaks of rain and also a lot of hill fog. So showery outbreaks of rain will continue to push their way northward into parts of Wales and eventually also into southern parts of Scotland. Most places a cloudy night to come, so temperatures will be holding up, quite a mild night, but in the far north, that's where we hold on clear skies, so perhaps a touch of frost to start Monday. Otherwise, a much damper picture across eastern parts of Scotland and southern Scotland with showery outbreaks of rain. A few brighter breaks developing across Northern Ireland on Monday, but for the vast majority of England and Wales, still holding on to that cloudy theme, but perhaps some brighter breaks eventually developing across the southeast. Temperatures up on recent days, highs of up to 17 degrees.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, it's time for the Great British Giveaway now, and it's our biggest prize of the year so far. 25 grand in cash, plus a brand new 4-berth camper van worth 67 grand. Here's how you take part.
Everything you need to enjoy a super summer could be on us this year, as you could drive away with this very latest Benivan 4-berth camper van, worth over £67,000. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this camper van is fully equipped with its own kitchen, bathroom, dinette and plenty of storage. Plus, you can drive it on your existing licence. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also get your summer sorted with a further £25,000 in tax-free cash that you could spend however you like. In total, this prize package is worth over £92,000. So make sure you secure your place in the draw. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Apologies for everyone who's getting in touch about the F1.
What?
Loads of people are messaging saying, you've ruined it for me now.
Oh.
To be fair, we didn't know. It just popped up. We didn't know.
Yeah.
It's.
Oh dear.
So I'm sorry. I know. It's.
Don't say it again then.
No, won't say it again. But I don't know how we're meant to avoid that.
No,
really.
This is a news programme.
So it's a bit difficult, but I'm sorry if you haven't seen the F1, you're looking forward to seeing it.
Lots of people getting in touch about what Richard Tice was saying from Dubai. Anne says, I don't know why you're surprised that life is going on in Dubai. My mother told me about working in London during World War II and going to work every day after spending nights in the bomb shelters with her 6 sisters and 1 brother and parents. They all got on with it, even when an unexploded bomb was in the garden opposite their house. Panic gives those who are attacking you what they want.
Oh, I agree.
It's a pity Keir Starmer doesn't have a backbone, no, she adds. And then KG adds in, this king is as woke and weak as the Prime Minister. Perfect combination for disaster.
Oh, I think that's a bit harsh.
It is harsh, but is it true?
Because, well, whether you agree with we don't know what the king thinks politically, do we? I mean, that's the whole point of it. But what we do know is that he's a very good diplomat. And just the fact that people want to be around him and that the Trump wants to be around him is good for our relationship as a country.
It won't be awkward by then, and he'll know how to cope with that.
He will know how
His
to cope
mother was always sent on to quite a few sort of difficult meetings, and she always came out on top, really, didn't she?
Yes, she did. Anyway, look, still to come, should NHS staff be able to speak English? Sounds like a bit of a basic question, doesn't it? Anyway, it's a debate that needs to be had, and we'll tell you why in a moment.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Foreign Office has urged Britons in Mexico to remain indoors and avoid unnecessary travel amid a surge of violence following the death of a drug cartel leader. Our Home and Security Editor, Mark White, joins us in the studio. I mean, these are very, very heavily touristy places in Mexico. We've got the World Cup there very soon. What a situation.
Yes, there are real concerns, of course, about the thousands of Brits and other foreign nationals who are in Mexico at the moment. But as you say, in a few months' time, looking ahead to the World Cup and the many, many thousands of people that will be there during that period. Now, this all follows the operation that took place over the weekend in which the head of one of Mexico's most powerful drug cartels was killed. That's Nemesio Ruben Osequera Cervantes,
well pronounced,
otherwise known as El Mencho. El Mencho was head of this cartel that, along with the Sinaloa cartel, the two most powerful drug cartels in Mexico, responsible for so much of the violence that sees, on average now, 55 people murdered every single day in Mexico as a result of the war between the cartels. Well, of course, now this has been, as you can see by the images on screen, very significantly upgraded in terms of the violence now out in states right across Mexico, as this cartel, the Jalisco cartel that El Mencho was in charge of.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Morning again. It's 7:34. Now, this is fascinating, and I don't know whether we ever knew that the cost of translation services inside the NHS has more than doubled in just 4 years. From, wait for it, £31 million to £64 million. That's for translation services.
Yes, but you would assume from that, and we'll get some clarity in a moment, that's for translating for patients.
Yes.
Who don't speak English.
Yes.
But apparently it's not. Apparently it's about staff not being able to speak English. So it raises the question, should it be a requirement?
Well, it'd certainly be cheaper if everybody spoke English. But is that realistic? Well, joining us now to debate this, political commentator Emma Trimble and NHS doctor, Dr Basha Mukherjee. First of all, let's go to Dr Mukherjee. I mean, how many staff do you come across in your everyday work who don't speak English and therefore need a translator just to do their job?
I find this very hard to believe that how can anybody pass even the interview stage of a job for the NHS without being able to communicate in English. So this is quite a interesting statistic for me. I personally haven't really come across any staff member who I've not been able to directly communicate with. At the same time, I know that the NHS has different levels of staff. Some of them are completely non-patient facing. Some of them might not even interact with people very often, perhaps. And therefore, the need for them to communicate directly in English might not be so important.
But they'd need to read and write in English, wouldn't they, just to do a job?
Well, perhaps, but we're talking here about needing translating services for interpreters. Maybe, I mean, I'm not entirely sure what the statistics are for this particular story, but I guess it's about speaking and communicating. And I have to say that if you're part of the NHS, that could even be, you could be a cleaner, you could be a housekeeper, you could be working in IT and not interacting with any humans in the entire time that you're working. So ultimately, we are a big team of people, and we have to understand that there are some people who the alternative would be that they don't work. So I'd rather they do work than not work, and me as a taxpayer having to pay for them because they chose not to work because they think they can't speak English.
And what do you make of it, Emma? I mean, if it's not front-facing, if it is, porters or cleaners or things where perhaps it's, their language skills are less important, does it really matter?
I think it does matter. I mean, you're right that the NHS it's one of the largest employers in the world. So, of course, they're going to have some people who are working for them that are not working directly with patients. I think the case that you mentioned there of porters, I think porters should be able to speak English. It's very important for patients, not just in terms of actually receiving the medical care that they need, but also just in terms of their own comfort. It's very important that the people who are working with them can speak English, because this can be life or death. This is, this is a potentially very dangerous situation for the patient. In this case, it seems that the Department for Health and Social Care don't actually know. They haven't actually assessed the proficiency of language across the NHS. It is a legal requirement if you're working with patients to be able to be proficient in English. But it seems that the Department for Health and Social Care don't actually know what the state of affairs is. And the amount by which this has shot up by double in about 5 years is really extraordinary, and I think a serious cause for worry. Now, I've actually experienced, not in the NHS, in a private practice, somebody who didn't speak very good English and was working with patients. So I think it's something that obviously needs to be assessed, because it is dangerous. And frankly, anybody who needs to be using translation services, I think many taxpayers would think, should have to pay themselves.
Yeah, just finally, Dr. Mukherjee, I mean, 64 million is an awful lot of money. Something's got to be done, hasn't it?
Well, absolutely. I think it's shocking, really. My parents were also immigrants in this country, and I think it was just assumed that you have to be able to speak the language. But I also meet lots of patients who've been in this country for 10, 20 years and still don't speak the language. And absolutely, it's very distressing to look at the numbers and to think that that's what we're paying in taxpayers' money. But at the same time, we're also paying millions of pounds to educate some people in English because they are refusing to work because they can't speak the language. And we have to look at those numbers as well. I think there should be a prerogative on people who are living in this country to learn the language off their own accord, and not the taxpayers have to pay for it. But at the moment, that's what we're having to do. And not just for using the NHS, but for services that they want to use in other areas, like whether it's dealing with the government, the council, etc. The council has to pay for the interpreting services at all levels, and not just the interpreting services. We have to pay for taxis for people to go to learn English, essentially. So I think the pivot is completely in the wrong direction. But as a taxpayer personally, I would rather pay for someone who's working and paying taxes rather than someone who isn't. So that's my point of view.
We've got to leave it there, but Dr. Mukherjee, Emma Trimble, thank you both very much indeed.
Well, we're going to be talking about the F1 in Melbourne. Aidan will have the latest sports news for you next. If you don't want to know, then put your fingers in your ears just for the next couple of moments.
Yeah.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in, Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages. Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, time for the sport with Aidan. Morning.
Good morning. Can we start with Wrexham?
Yeah,
Yes.
go on.
Well, we have to. They're known as Hollywood FC, aren't they?
Well, it's because of Ryan Reynolds and his...
Robert McElhenney, yeah. And Blake Lively, his partner. They were at the game last night. It was a brilliant FA Cup tie, it really was. It started a bit later on, so the main fair had gone on earlier in the day with Mansfield against Arsenal. And we were served up an absolute FA Cup classic. They led twice. They were 1-0 up and 2-1 up. Chelsea got it back to 3-2 after Wrexham had a man sent off. There was a VAR intervention. I felt it was quite justified.
A bit of everything thrown in.
Well, it was. I mean, this was a high challenge as well, but it didn't. The game is so fast now, Stephen, that you don't necessarily see it in real time that something's a foul. When we looked at it again, and he was very high on the shin, and those are the sort of injuries. It can break a shin pad, it can break a leg, it can be career-ending. But it did switch the emphasis or the sway of the tie, and Chelsea went on to win by 4-2. But great to see them. I mean, they're in the top 6 in the Championship now. They've got a game against Hull in the week that's arguably bigger than the Chelsea game yesterday, because if they get to the Premier League in 5 consecutive seasons of promotions with the same manager, an English manager as well, who we're going to hear from in just a moment, that's an outstanding achievement over the last over a short period of time. Let's hear from Phil Parkinson now, the Wrexham manager.
The lads have been immense for us tonight. Everything we set out to do in terms of the performance level, I felt we achieved, and I felt we always carried a threat on the night. And of course, the dressing room is quiet, which you'd expect after a defeat. But when we wake up tomorrow, I think the lads can be immensely proud, and the supporters will be, of the way we've played.
Good performance by Wrexham. We should just mention the F1 as well. Put your fingers in your ear if you don't want to know the result, but George Russell of Mercedes claimed victory.
How old is he?
At the early 20s.
Yeah, he looks really young.
Well, that's the depth of British racers. I mean, we saw Lando Norris win last year. We saw Lewis Hamilton as well in his new car, Fastest to Deceive. Everyone's
28.
28, all right. Well, is that early 20s?
No.
No, it's not. I bet he
I told you, I was sexy before his late 20s, you see.
He's had a shave.
I'm not as stupid as I look.
Not as daft as your
Well,
cabbage
he's
looking.
beaming from ear to ear at the moment, and that helps, doesn't it?
Not as green as I'm cabbage
That's
looking.
it.
What are you getting there? Right,
OK.
Go away. We'll see you later.
All right.
Right, still to come, Kevin Schofield and Emma Wolfe are with us to look through the papers. First of all, though, here's the European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, it's a mixed picture across Europe. Rain in places, but also some showers, sunnier across Greece. So some strong winds across Madeira and the Canary Islands with some outbreaks of rain, more so across much of Portugal through Monday. Showers heavy at times across much of the Mediterranean, but drier across Greece. That's where we'll see some sunny spells. And that theme continues really through the week. Best of the sunshine across Greece, highs of up to 17 to 19.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
There are at least 500 dumps scouring the British countryside, and there's a massive one, which we've been at this morning for GB News in Wigan. It's been dubbed the most dangerous of its kind in the country, and it's on land partially owned by the King. It stinks. It's attractive. It will be a magnet for rodents, rats. Look at that.
You just think.
If you're listening on the radio, it is.
It's
How
enormous.
high would you say that is?
Well,
18 foot high.
Concept, but yeah, at least meters and meters. And you can understand.
If you died in that, you'd be dead.
You would. Wouldn't recommend it. You can understand. Well, it's taller than the trees. It is taller than the trees. It's taller than a JCB. How on earth did this happen? Well, joining us now from the dump itself is GB News national reporter Sophie Reaper. Sophie, we've just been saying how you can understand fly tipping, people dumping the odd bin bag or piece of furniture, but how do you go from that to this enormous piece of rubbish dump?
It's disgraceful.
I think that's the question on the lips of a lot of the local residents in this area, Miriam. People asking how and why this has been allowed to happen and why nothing's been done about it. We got the chance to speak exclusively to the owner of one of those houses, whose house is right there, his garden backs right onto it. Here's what he had to say.
Well, down here, you've forgotten. The council ignore it. They just skirt around the edges of it, doing nothing. When they cleaned up the one in Oxfordshire, they said they're only cleaning that one up because it was a fire risk. This has already been on fire once. It cost over £500,000 to put the fire out, and it's going to happen again. So, but just by their own standards, I think they should clear it up. If it costs £3 million, it costs £3 million.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Yeah, right, Kevin Schofield and Emma Wolfe are taking us through the papers. Let's have a look. Sunday Telegraph, Kevin. This rebuke of Keir Starmer from none other than Tony Blair.
Yeah, I was someone, to be fair, who's got a bit of experience when it comes to taking Britain into war in the Middle East. So I guess you do have to listen to what he's talking about. And not that surprising that his view is, regardless, basically, of the circumstances, Britain's place should be beside America. If they want our help, then we should give it. Now, he makes a distinction between, he goes, look, this isn't Vietnam, this isn't Iraq, we're not been asked to put boots on the ground. He goes, it's basically the use of our bases, a bit of refuelling, and that's it.
Yeah.
But the message it sends out when you say no is awful.
Yeah, because we need to rattle through a few here because we're really tight for time, unfortunately. Mail on Sunday, this I don't understand at all. Kemi Badenoch planning a reshuffle to get rid of dead wood, which may include, amongst others, Mel Stride.
I know.
He's not dead wood.
Some of her front bench, who I actually think are the good ones, Mel Stride as well. Chris Philp is apparently in the running for this. So this is Kemi's first major reshuffle. She wants a root and branch revamp of her top team to remove the dead wood holding up Tory renewal. And those at risk include Mel Stride, the Shadow Chancellor, Priti Patel, who I agree has a kind of hangover of the immigration failures, anyway, Shadow Foreign Secretary, and Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp.
Well, those are, I mean, we're left with...
exactly. Those are the ones we know. So apparently she wants to promote young MPs, rising stars, get more social media clicks, which is basically death to the party. She also wants to convince... So Katie Lamb, one of her MPs, is on defection watch. So she's apparently sort of tempting this promotion as a way of keeping her. If someone's on defection watch, you know, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to bribe them.
I mean, she's very highly regarded in Westminster. I think that would be a big coup for reform if they were to get Katie Lamb. You know, I think she is seen by many as the future of the Conservative Party.
Well, aren't we past the deadline where they will take anyone?
7th of May, the local elections.
I think they'll take anyone. Come on, last week their big announcement was a couple of Labour councillors that no one had ever heard of.
That's right.
Apparently, Mel Stride lacks energy, isn't being included in key decisions at the moment.
Great. Well, when we have him on the programme, we have him on a lot. He talks a lot of sense.
He was stood in the House of Commons the other day.
He's a very good performer. He is.
Is he a threat to Kemi?
No, he's not a threat. I mean, he is. I suppose in this day and age of, as you say, social media clicks, he's not like a Robert Jenrick, you know.
Yeah.
Endlessly churning out videos, and that's just not Mel Stride's style. He's quite a kind of
old-fashioned
politics.
Yeah, but
that's not necessarily bad.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, you two. Sorry, it's been so short. Longer next hour. We'll see you then.
Weather time.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more cloud in the forecast today. Some sunny breaks for some of us, though, and some patchy rain and drizzle too, especially across England and Wales. So across eastern parts of Scotland, though, and southern parts of Scotland, that's where we're going to hold on to the best of the sunshine today, even for eastern parts of Northern Ireland. To the west of that, cloud and outbreaks of rain across the Outer Hebrides. Otherwise, for much of England and Wales, it's a cloudy picture with showery outbreaks of rain pushing their way northwards. There may be some breaks in the cloud across the far southeast. Temperatures rising here 14-15 degrees, elsewhere around 12 to 13. Now, as we head through this evening then, the clear skies persisting across eastern parts of Scotland and towards the south. Out towards the west, that's where we have this lingering cold front bringing outbreaks of rain across the inner and outer Hebrides. Similar picture across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here, drier to the east. Otherwise, a lot of low cloud persisting across England and Wales. And as we head through Sunday evening and overnight, that cloud will lower even more, will give some murky conditions, some outbreaks of rain and also a lot of hill fog. So showery outbreaks of rain will continue to push their way northward into parts of Wales and eventually also into southern parts of Scotland. Most places a cloudy night to come, so temperatures will be holding up, quite a mild night, but in the far north, that's where we hold on clear skies, so perhaps a touch of frost to start Monday. Otherwise, a much damper picture across eastern parts of Scotland and southern Scotland with showery outbreaks of rain. A few brighter breaks developing across Northern Ireland on Monday, but for the vast majority of England and Wales, still holding on to that cloudy theme, but perhaps some brighter breaks eventually developing across the southeast. Temperatures up on recent days, highs of up to 17 degrees.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Everything you need to enjoy a super summer could be on us this year, as you could drive away with this very latest Benivan 4-berth camper van. This camper van is fully equipped with its own kitchen, bathroom, dinette and plenty of storage. We'll also get your summer sorted with a further £25,000 in tax-free cash that you could spend however you like. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today,
Will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
that's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight,
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid. That's not GB News.
Journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
We're here to talk about things in a way that have never been broadcast on British airways before.
Do not miss a moment on GB News.
The #1 news channel in the country.
Good morning. Donald Trump refuses support from the Prime Minister and launches a scathing attack on the United Kingdom. So what does this mean, really, for the special relationship?
And this is all happening as HMS the Prince of Wales, that's the aircraft carrier, prepares for possible deployment to the Middle East, while the US president promises complete destruction and certain death to targets in Iran.
Meanwhile, Tony Blair has chimed in, condemning Sir Keir Starmer over his decision not to support America.
Well, here at RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire, US bombers arrived on the way back from missions to, of course, attack Iran. In response to Donald Trump's comments, the Prime Minister said the country needs seriousness, not political games.
Councils are divided over the second home council tax surge, which was introduced by the government. We'll be hearing from locals in Yorkshire on how that scheme has impacted their community.
Tourists come in the summer and people with holiday homes come in the winter time, and they come all year round, and they actually spend the money in the town. This has not solved any problems for the residents of Filey.
As scientists successfully changed the course of an asteroid for the first time, it means NASA has pulled off a real-life Armageddon.
It was a thrilling day in the Six Nations, with England suffering a humiliating first-ever defeat to Italy in Rome. Under pressure, coach Steve Borthwick says he's vowing to fight on. Meanwhile, dreams of Scotland ended. France's dreams of winning the Grand Slam ahead of next week's finale. We'll have more later this hour.
Will you see any sunshine today? Well, I'll have all of the details in the forecast coming up shortly.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
And I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Just a quickie, Mother's Day a week today.
Oh, yes, it is.
And there's this big spread. I don't know how much money people... this is from the Star, actually. How much money do they think people have got?
Well,
this is all the things you could get your mother for Mother's Day. A Reglow mask, which I presume is a beauty treatment, £199.
What? A Reglow?
Reglow mask,
Right.
yeah. I don't know. You plug it in. Some fancy peptide cream for a tiny jar, 89 quid.
Oh, peptides are so expensive.
A Hungarian goose down duvet, 220 quid.
That's a bargain.
No,
Well,
try one of those, and all you get is you feel the edges of the feathers coming through.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
a Fortnum and Mason afternoon tea for two, £140.
What was that?
Who do they think afternoon tea?
Oh yeah.
Who do they think has got this sort of money? My Mother's Day present, which I won't say what it is, but it was like £12.99.
Good.
Cheapo.
Was that
Well,
reduced?
no, but it's just a little. Shut up.
Well,
it's just a little token, isn't it?
Yeah, because most mothers would probably say, "How much did that cost you? You shouldn't go spending your money like that."
A token for what? Argos?
Yeah, well, nothing wrong with Argos.
No, true.
Well, there's a chef's mandolin, 75 quid. Mind you, I wouldn't get anyone one of them. I ended up in hospital after
Yeah,
using
I'm not
one of them.
surprised. They're vicious.
Did slice the end of my finger off.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Well, it is now, yeah, but I ended up in A&E. It was horrific.
No
Absolutely
mandolins,
horrific.
please.
No. Anyway, so there you go. I hope you're being sensible with your Mother's Day. But it's not that we don't love our mothers. Of course we do, but you can do it sensibly. It's the thought that matters. It's a little token, isn't it?
Yes. Better than not, and don't just leave it at a WhatsApp. Make it a bit.
No. You need a
bit
card.
more than a WhatsApp or
an actual
text.
card and all that. Yeah.
Chocolates and flowers.
Chocolates and flowers go down.
Charlie
very
Roddy, so we know what your mum's getting.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
No, there's nothing. I mean, that's perfect. Perfect.
Or club together if there are many of you and buy a nice perfume that you know she likes.
Yeah. But the idea that you spend hundreds of pounds, who's got hundreds of pounds to spend at the moment?
Nobody anymore.
Anyway, President Trump has told the Prime Minister the United States does not need its once great ally, that's us, to send aircraft carriers to the Middle East.
Yes, in a post on Truth Social overnight, he said he will remember the lack of British support for his war with Iran, claiming he doesn't need people that join wars after they've already been won.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been won yet, but you get his point, don't you? You understand what he's saying. Also, and this is a significant intervention, Tony Blair has criticised Keir Starmer. It's so rare, especially from the same party, but Prime Ministers don't tend to criticise each other. He said the UK should have supported America from the very start.
Well, Charlie Rowley is here. It is extraordinary what's going on at the moment, isn't it? With Donald Trump, I mean, does let loose sometimes, and he is obviously still very angry at Starmer.
Yeah, and making those views known
each and every day, by the sounds of things. Obviously, in the week, he sort of said that Starmer was no Churchill, obviously, when trying to get a deal for US aircraft to use UK RAF bases. And now Tony Blair. I mean, what's revealing about what Tony Blair said is that his claim is that all that the US asked us for is to use our bases just so they could refuel.
Which is right.
Which was sort of news to me. I didn't realise.
Really?
I thought it was more that there was a request. Well, the reason why I thought it was more than that, because the request that was turned down, and the Prime Minister telling us that because he didn't want to be involved in the conflict, and now he's U-turned to make sure that it's only for defensive operations. Refuelling has got nothing to do with.
Well, the idea was that they'd refuel at British bases and then go on to launch offensive attacks directly from that refuelling, where the stop-off point, and he didn't want to be involved in that. But it is literally a refuelling stop.
But that, to me, just sounds exactly what I think lots of people worry about, which is that you'll have a Prime Minister sitting around the cabinet table with international lawyers, international human rights lawyers, weighing up whether refuelling a plane, allowing the US to use our bases to refuel a plane, is part of offensive or could be part of the defensive. Is this really a big deal? Of course it's not.
Yes.
That is minor in the grand scheme of things. And I think that plays out now, because not only can we not get HMS Dragon off the ground or off the dock to go and actually be part of. We're now overcompensating, in my view, by this talk about having to deploy only one of our two aircraft carriers.
Well, you wonder, don't you, what gave rise to this? I mean, did Starmer ring up Trump and say, "Well, we've got an aircraft carrier we could send. How about that?" And now Trump has sort of said, "No, too little, too late. Sorry."
Well, I think it is too little. Well, I don't think anything is necessarily too little, too late. But you know, we can all.
But he's basically said, "You can keep your aircraft carrier. We've won the war."
Well, we've won. Yes, yeah, and it's just bad optics. It's a Prime Minister that thought he'd taken a decision, thought he was being tough by saying we're not going to get involved, we're not going to repeat the mistakes of Iraq, which still haunts. Obviously the Labour Party, which is why, even though I do think Tony Blair's intervention is absolutely right, and he's got this absolutely right.
Remind us what he said.
So he's basically said that we should have allowed the US to refuel. It's not as if we're sending boots in on the ground like Iraq. It's not the Vietnam War.
We're not sending planes over Iran.
We're not sending planes over, exactly. And, you know, Tony Blair's been absolutely right. Some of the other things he said, he said people will always complain. The problem for a leader is when you decide you divide. Of course, it's difficult, but in the end, most of the MPs will know that they're going into election. If they're going to election, it's going to be decided on different things, and that's right. Because
but also, I'm sorry to butt in, but also, I mean, I know there is the Iraq issue, right, which is just looming, but this is different in that we know, certainly in terms of weapons of mass destruction, we know what Iran is developing. They're going to this sort of 60% purity of enrichment of uranium and all that, which is not for domestic purposes because you just don't need it. So we know what they're planning to do. Plus, we know they've massacred 30,000 of their own civilians this year who were trying to rise up against it. So it's not it's not an exaggerated or made-up threat in that sense.
Exactly. And how many plots have been foiled that the MI5 and Secret Intelligence Service tell us that, have been foiled by state-funded terrorism? Those funds come from Iran, and they fund, obviously, Hamas, the Hezbollahs, the Houthis. These are people that are all militia groups, arm's length of Iran, that are still keeping up that fight. The Hezbollah in Lebanon have sort of taken the fight to Israel. So there is a conflict. There is a threat to the UK. In that sense. So we should have been, I think, more supportive of America at the very start, at least just allowing them to use our bases. But look, this is something that, on the other hand, that will, I think, embolden the left of the Labour Party. The idea that Tony Blair is the one that comes out and starts criticising. I think the far left of the Labour Party, those that are now probably looking to be chasing those Green votes and those Green activists, will be thinking to themselves, the Prime Minister's got it right, because he's getting criticised from the former Labour Prime Minister that got it so wrong.
He may be being criticised by Blair and by Trump, but there are a lot of people who agree with his position. Particularly in his backbenches.
Well, yeah, except, though, he's changed his position now because he is allowing it to happen.
Yes.
So maybe they're really annoyed with him now as well.
He's still being defensive. I mean, it's still defensive action, not offensive. I know it's arguable now.
It's arguable, yeah.
It totally. And look, you know, the other thing that Tony Blair said, which again I think is right, you know, when he says on foreign policy, I think people would just prefer you to be strong and out there and clear, even if they don't agree with you. And I think that's absolutely right, because everybody could be divided about the intervention with Iran, whether we should be offensive, whether it should just be defensive, whether we should have been more prepared, whether we should not be involved at all. All of that is up for debate. But if you have a position, particularly when it comes to a conflict, particularly when you've got a UK RAF base in Cyprus and British citizens there, and particularly when you've got thousands of British citizens across the Middle East, in Dubai, in the UAE, and in Saudi in particular, you have to make a decision and you have to stick with it. Yeah. And I think I would have had more respect, you know, and I don't say this lightly, because I know we've got to weigh up the decisions that the Prime Ministers and Ministers and government officials make, and it's not easy. But if the Prime Minister was so keen about not getting involved, then we shouldn't be involved, and we should stand by that. But the reality is, he said we're not getting involved. He told us repeatedly we're not going to get involved, and touted that as a sort of a win for him. And then, as you say, Stephen, he's had to reverse ferret to a point now where the headlines, and which I think the government are keen to push, that we might be sending HMS Prince of Wales, where we only have one of two of these aircraft carriers. Now we're putting that at risk. So I think there's lots of questions for the government to answer about its strategy, how it's dealt with this crisis. Obviously, that's what's been dominating the last week, and it's going to dominate this week again.
All right, Charlie, for now, thank you. See you later.
But certainly it's, at Fairford, it's not just a matter of fuel, because they've had to bring, obviously, all sorts of backup staff in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the population of Fairford is going to sort of be massively increased over the next few days, because they've got to bring in people who are going to maintain those planes and
there'll be a maintenance run.
All of that sort of thing. Let's find out what is going on at Fairford there, because our national reporter Jack Carson is there in the fog. It looks very foggy, but I mean, is it busy at the moment, or has it all gone quiet for a bit?
Well, over the last couple of days, there certainly has been a lot of activity. As you can imagine, you're right to say it's not just, the four bombers that have been arriving here in the past 48 hours. It is the personnel as well needed to ensure that they can be involved in their, what the government say will be defensive missions. They allowed the US to use these bases in order to help protect British citizens, they say. We know they recovered these bombers recovered here to these bases in the past 48 hours. More, you would imagine, expected given Donald Trump's comments yesterday, last night, overnight on Air Force One, saying that he said the bombing campaign could make negotiations irrelevant and if all potential leaders are killed and the military is destroyed. The government had, of course, come under criticism for their lack of response. You're mentioning Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister's comments overnight, saying that we should have come to help America sooner after Donald Trump's scathing attack, saying that we don't need people that join wars after we've already won. The US presence here at RAF Fairford has increased in the past few days. They've had a presence here since for a good few years now. People might remember the Vice President J.D. Vance visited troops here on this base last year on his personal holiday in the UK when he was around the Cotswolds. So there has been a presence here for a while, and it is an important base in the UK for the US, even more so strategically now. But it's not the same kind of support for the US military aircraft using airports like Fairford all across the UK. First Minister John Swinney yesterday said he would consider banning US military aircraft from using the state-owned Prestwick Airport if it was confirmed they were involved in strikes in the Middle East. He said he would consider that based on evidence provided to him. The Ministry of Defence said that that airport was not going to be used to launch military strikes. But if you look then at the British capabilities and what the Ministry of Defence are doing in terms of British capability in the region, BBC sources, as Charlie Peters revealed yesterday, confirmed that the Portsmouth Dockyard will pretty much working round the clock to try and get HMS Dragon on the move to the region. The Ministry of Defence also confirming yesterday just how many resources have been now deployed and they say bolstering the UK military presence in the Middle East. They said they've already deployed, of course, Typhoons, F-35 jets, promising the Prime Minister to protect the Kingdom of Bahrain in recent days as well. They say air defence systems and an extra 400 personnel into Cyprus, all since the strikes began. They say British jets have been in the sky shooting down drones and sent additional assets into the region to reinforce air defences. HMS Prince of Wales, we believe, is on 5 days' notice. Just talking about that aircraft carrier. Ministry of Defence saying that it's always kept on a state of readiness, but they say that they're increasing the preparedness of the carrier, reducing the time it would take to set sail, if any deployment. But all of those assets, if they are to be deployed, are going to arrive after other countries are helping to come to our aid in the Gulf and in the region. And protecting British citizens ultimately is one of the government's goals. There's still believed to be around 100,000 British citizens that haven't yet been able to get out of the region that may want to, that registered their presence in the region, meaning that they wanted to keep up to date with the latest Foreign Office guidance and be on any lists for repatriation flights. Some trouble coming to those attempted flights after Iran's president said that he would suspend strikes on neighbouring states if they didn't strike first. Still, we saw overnight drone attacks and others attacking certain neighbouring states, which of course they said they'd voted on as their kind of leadership council not to do. So it's protecting British citizens ultimately and protecting British assets in the region. These bases like RAF Fairford, with these US bombers now based here, flying out of here, which the government say will be based on defensive missions, are ultimately all part of that strategy as the British government tries to recover from the criticism that they've had for the work they've done in the region so far.
Yeah, Jack, obviously there's not a lot happening behind you, from in the air anyway. Do you know whether the planes are out at the moment on a mission or back being refuelled? Do you know what the movements are?
Well, as you can see, it's very foggy behind me, so we're trying to see in the distance since we've been here what we can see actually on the ground. There may well be, we believe, a B-2 possibly landing here today. You would assume that would be on the way back from missions in Iran. As I was saying earlier, Trump's comments overnight on Air Force One are pretty clear that they're not stopping. Ultimately, if Trump's comments are to be believed, quite seriously, he says at some point, I don't think there'll be anybody left to say we surrender. So that's pretty clear direction from Donald Trump that he's not willing to engage in negotiations. The British government wanting to believe that diplomacy might be a way forward in this, but I don't think the US president's going to let them get that far. And so, we believe that there may well be more assets on their way back here to Fairford, and we would expect it, certainly, if not today, over the next few days, a hive of activity coming in and out as the US continues its missions.
Yeah, all right, Jack, thanks very much indeed.
Hope the fog clears up for you so you can see.
Yeah,
Crazy,
it's about a 3-hour flight. Is it because you go at 900 miles an hour, these B-1s?
3 hours from Fairford to
Iran, or thereabouts. So it's a heck of a turnaround. It's why they need bases at these points, though. They can't do it all from the United States. Anyway, we'll continue our coverage on that, but in the meantime, and it actually follows in the vein of all of this, the King is going to highlight the value of traditional alliances and international friendships at a time of increasing pressures of conflict in his Commonwealth Day message. He'll tell member countries working together can be a force for good. There'll be a service at Westminster Abbey tomorrow.
Meanwhile, universities that fail to prevent extremism will face sanctions, could be shut down. The Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, also says Vice-Chancellors will be issued guidance on how to vet external speakers to make sure they don't support terrorism. The Office for Student Watchdog will monitor universities and be given powers to intervene.
And if you're going to watch the F1 later, tune out for just a second, because we have a winner in the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne, a Mercedes driver. One of ours, George Russell. Anyway, he's held first.
Whisper it still goes out.
I know, but they might have just had time to tune out or walk out the room. Mercedes held first and second place, beating Kimi Antonelli into second. Lando Norris crossed the line in fifth.
Let's find out about the fog everywhere. Catherine Chalk is here.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more cloud in the forecast today. Some sunny breaks for some of us, though, and some patchy rain and drizzle too, especially across England and Wales. So across eastern parts of Scotland, though, and southern parts of Scotland, that's where we're going to hold on to the best of the sunshine today, even for eastern parts of Northern Ireland. To the west of that, cloud and outbreaks of rain across the Outer Hebrides. Otherwise, for much of England and Wales, it's a cloudy picture with showery outbreaks of rain pushing their way northwards. There may be some breaks in the cloud across the far southeast, temperatures rising here 14-15 degrees, elsewhere around 12 to 13. Now, as we head through this evening then, the clear skies persisting across eastern parts of Scotland and towards the south. Out towards the west, that's where we have this lingering cold front bringing outbreaks of rain across the inner and outer Hebrides. Similar picture across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here, drier to the east. Otherwise, a lot of low cloud persisting across England and Wales. And as we head through Sunday evening and overnight, that cloud will lower even more, will give some murky conditions, some outbreaks of rain, and also a lot of hill fog. So showery outbreaks of rain will continue to push their way northward into parts of Wales and eventually also into southern parts of Scotland. Most places a cloudy night to come, so temperatures will be holding up, quite a mild night, but in the far north, that's where we hold on clear skies, so perhaps a touch of frost to start Monday. Otherwise, a much damper picture across eastern parts of Scotland and southern Scotland with showery outbreaks of rain. A few brighter breaks developing across Northern Ireland on Monday, but for the vast majority of England and Wales, still holding on to that cloudy theme, but perhaps some brighter breaks eventually developing across the southeast. Temperatures up on recent days, highs of up to 17 degrees.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Should we tell you about the giveaway? It's a fabulous prize. It's £25,000 in tax-free cash, plus a brand new four-berth camper van worth more than £67,000. Here's how you enter.
It's a prize package worth over £92,000 and it could be all yours in our very latest Great British Giveaway. There's a totally tax-free £25,000 in cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like this year. Plus, you'll also get to drive away in a brand new Benevan 122 camper van. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this latest 2026 model comes fully loaded with everything you'd expect. You can even drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, it comfortably sleeps 4 people. Make sure you don't miss out on the biggest prize package of the year so far. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. Still to come, we're going to be talking about a moment into history for NASA, because they have successfully sent a spacecraft to smash into an asteroid and change its trajectory in space. It's a very important thing, and I'm very glad they're working on it.
Yeah, we'll give you all the details in just a moment.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Yeah, that's got a bit of a smell.
A birthday fit for a Queenie.
My name was Queenie Robinson. Everybody wants to know about my name. Is it a real name? Is it a nickname? No, it's not. It's on my birth certificate. My father forgot what I should have been called, and I've never found out since.
But the name didn't stick, and Queenie quickly became known as Robbie after signing up to join the RAF. Robbie served in the Women's Auxiliary Air Force in a bomber command, despite still being 17.
She said, "You are 18, aren't you?" I said, "Oh, yes, I'll be 19 in February." Biggest lie out. I was only 17. She sort of gave me an old-fashioned look. She didn't believe me, I know.
Her first love, Frank Vincent, also served in the war.
There's Frank, yeah. And that's his aircraft, the Lancaster.
Aged 21, he flew in the Lancaster bomber. But just months before they were due to get married, Frank was killed in action. Robbie has kept Frank's love of aviation alive, flying a Spitfire, aged 101.
I had a male called James as my pilot, and he said, "Do you want to do a victory roll, Robbie?" So I said, "Oh, yes." So we turned turtle sort of thing, and there was me sort of sitting there looking at pink clouds upside down.
In December, Robbie took to the skies once again, this time without an engine, in a glider, aged 102. This week, Robbie is celebrating her 103rd birthday.
My friend suggests that my next ambition is to jump tandem out of a plane.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
8:27. No, it sounds like the plot of a science fiction movie, doesn't it? But NASA has now successfully smashed a spacecraft into an asteroid and changed its path in space.
Which is very important when you think about it. It's marked the first time humanity has purposely changed the motion of a celestial object.
That happened a while ago, but it's taken a long time for us to actually work out how much the trajectory has changed. So scientists say it could be a crucial step forward towards protecting us from future asteroid strikes.
Joining us now is space and planetary scientist Andy Lound. It's good news, actually, isn't it, Andy?
Yes, good morning. It's interesting because the data that's come back now is far more interesting than we anticipated. What we had was the DART spacecraft, 570 kilogram spacecraft, was thrust into the moon of the asteroid Didymos. So Dimorphos is the little moon, and it slammed into that. And the idea was to change its orbit or slow its orbit around its parent body by about 73 seconds. The upshot was it slowed it down by 33 minutes. And the reason why it did that was because once it slammed into it, it blasted that much material away from it. The material that was blasting away from it acted, if you like, as a thruster and slowed it down even further. So that was a bit of a bonus. However, the research that they're doing, which has taken some time to do, has actually been very more dynamic than we expected. Because this is two bodies orbiting the sun together, one goes around the other. Now, when two bodies do that, if you draw an imaginary line between the two bodies, there is a point on that line which is known as the barycenter, which is the center of the gravitational effects of the two bodies, and both bodies actually go around that barycenter. The impact on the small moon has in fact changed the position of the barycenter, which means that it's actually slowed down the whole body system in its orbit around the sun, and that's really quite important. So it's very small. It's at 11.3 microseconds per second, but over a year that works out at 370 meters. And it's the first time humans have actually changed the orbit of a planetary body going around the sun. It's quite staggering. But this is a benefit, because if we have advanced knowledge now of an object coming to fly towards us, and we need years' knowledge, we could therefore divert it successfully by using this system of crashing a spacecraft or a heavy mass into that object, or even into the object's little moon if it has a little moon. So perhaps now we might not, although we have to have the knowledge, we have to have the advanced knowledge of where the object is. It's no good if it's going to happen next week. But if it's years' notice, we could actually escape the fate of the dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? If in this scenario we moved it by its orbit around the sun or whatever by 370 metres, I mean, obviously, if you've got something on a collision course with Earth, I mean, you are going to either have to have a much bigger bang, or have to wait, I don't know, what, 10, 15 years for it to have the significant impact?
That's the point. We do need years' notice for an object, and that's why there's a lot of research going at the moment to study all the potential threats to us. The announcement was made last week that there's about 15,000 objects we don't know about which cross Earth's orbit. That was based on the estimates of what we have discovered. So there's about 15,000 of them, which are probably objects which pass us all the time we don't notice. One passed us a week and a half ago, for instance. Thought it might hit the moon. It didn't. It actually bypassed us. But again, it adds to a whole new scenario that we could actually potentially do something if we have the data for it. But again, we have to come to the reality. If it's going to be too close to us, then I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. We had Tunguska in 1908, an object that airburst over Siberia, destroying 1,000 square miles of forest. Had that exploded over a city, that would have devastated the city. So yes, we do have these issues still to contend with, but at least we know that if it's a very big one, we could potentially protect ourselves from it. Otherwise, this is what I use, guys, with no choice.
That'll be a lot of help.
Yes, good luck with that.
Yeah.
There you go. Otherwise, it's get your hat on and put your head between your legs and kiss goodbye.
Yeah. I mean, presumably we are scanning the skies all the time for anything that might be a threat.
We are. We have an issue because there's a blind spot, and that's if objects come from the direction of the sun. And that has been a blind spot which has been there all the time. That's going to be solved by a satellite that's being launched by NASA, and that will actually look in that direction, because we've had one or two objects come a bit too close to the Earth, and they've come out of the sun. So we haven't seen them in one case until after it had actually bypassed the Earth. But that's going to be solved in a few months' time by the launch of a satellite to actually look in that particular direction. We've also got the European spacecraft called Hera, and that will rendezvous with Didymus and Dimorphos in November of this year to give us even more details about the changing of the orbit of those planetary bodies.
Well, keep your hat on until that happens. Thank you so much for explaining it.
Great
No problem.
Thank you. Yeah, brilliant.
All right, look, we've got lots of sport heading your way after that with Aidan. That's in a couple of minutes.
Didymus and Dimorphos.
Yeah.
That's brilliant names for dogs, don't you think?
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Rugby, to start off with Aidan McGee.
Indeed.
A historic day yesterday for England.
Well, it was, not
just... Not in a good way.
No, it wasn't, but let's broaden it out to Scotland as well. It was historic for both countries, actually. I'll start with England, first of all, because it was a humiliating defeat in Rome against Italy. In the previous 32 matches that they played each other, going back to, I think, Italy entered the Six Nations. It went from 5 nations to 6 nations in about 2000, I think it was. England have won every single match of that 32 until yesterday, when they succumbed to a 23-18 defeat. They were 18-10 up during the match as well. Wild in discipline on the pitch. And don't forget, before this event, and everyone was talking about, or England themselves were talking about targeting a clean sweep of victories and winning the Grand Slam. It was going to be a shootout next week between them and France. Now, if we look back on the 4 matches so far, well, they'd have been expected to beat Wales. That's all they've done so far. They then lost to Scotland at Murrayfield. They lost at home. They were thrashed at home by Ireland. And yesterday, they're sunk to a new low by losing to Italy. How they're going to perform against France next week, heaven only knows. But for now, there has to be pressure on this man, Steve Borthwick.
It's tough right now. There's no doubt about it. We're not hiding away from the fact it's tough. We're not where we want to be in terms of results and in terms of performances. And I said to you that I didn't think the intensity in the last game was where it needed to be. I thought that the players, the intensity was much improved, much more like the team. And as I say, for 60 minutes, I thought the team did a lot of very, very good things today.
Said he saw some good things. I'm not quite sure what match he was watching.
He was watching the Scotland match.
Yeah, probably. Well, look, 50-40, they beat France. France are meant to be the team who are going to win everything before them. And look, they scored 4 tries, I think it was, for France. So they got the bonus point, which might help next week. But Scotland took their chances, and an outstanding result for them. Probably their best result in 40 years. And it just shows how formidable they are when they line up against anyone at Murrayfield. So well done to them, but it all comes down to next week. What do we love in sport? What do I always say? Competition. Exactly. I'm glad I've been waiting for you to say that. I've teed you up 10 times in the last 3 months. You just look at me and go, ooh, you know. But anyway, I'm glad you said it now. So that's the rugby boxed off for now. Can we go on to the FA Cup?
Yeah.
Wrexham.
Yes.
Good performance by them, undone by a bit of VAR.
Hollywood FC.
Oh, yeah, they're known as Hollywood FC, aren't they? I can understand why. Blake Lively was at the match yesterday.
Hollywood glamour to it.
Yeah, we didn't expect it to go to Wrexham, did we, 5 years ago when they bought the club? They've actually sold 10% of it, and it values the club at £350 million. And you could see some of the razzmatazz last night in the crowd with the celebrated individuals who bought into the club in the crowd yesterday, and they almost saw a win as well. Dodgy, yeah, well, not dodgy, it was a red card, a deserved red card for one of the Wrexham players. They were also denied an equaliser through a VAR call, but in the end, Chelsea's class won out in the end. But they face Hull in the week, and if they win that, they're right in the push for the playoffs. And if they get into the Premier League, that'll be 5 promotions in 5 years under the same manager, which I think is absolutely outstanding.
Phenomenal.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really tough down there.
He's setting himself up for a big gig then.
Who?
The manager.
Oh, yeah, I would think so, yeah. Should we hear from him, Phil Parkinson? Let's have a word. Let's have a word. Well, let's hear from him in a few moments, but we have got it. Let's hear from him now.
The lads have been immense for us tonight. Everything we set out to do in terms of the performance level, I felt we achieved, and I felt we always carried a threat on the night. And yeah, of course, the dressing room is quiet, which you'd expect after a defeat. But when we wake up tomorrow, I think the lads can be immensely proud, and the supporters will be, of the way we've played.
So that's 4-2 to Chelsea. They're out of the FA Cup now, Wrexham, unfortunately, but big battles for them between now and the end of the season.
All right. Aidan, thank you.
Good to see you this
Not
weekend.
going to do the Grand Prix.
We've been told to shut up.
Oh, it's a mystery then.
Yeah.
Who won?
Yeah. Someone's won the Grand Prix this morning in Australia.
Somebody.
Shh, keep it a secret.
Yeah. Right, still to come, Kevin and Emma are going to take us through the papers.
But first of all, let's get the European forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, it's a mixed picture across Europe. Rain in places, but also some showers, sunnier across Greece. So some strong winds across Madeira and the Canary Islands with some outbreaks of rain, more so across much of Portugal through Monday. Showers heavy at times across much of the Mediterranean, but drier across Greece. That's where we'll see some sunny spells. And that theme continues really through the week. Best of the sunshine across Greece, highs of up to 17 to 19.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
We have a couple of days of training before the opening ceremony starts, and then as soon as that finished, we packed up all our bags and we left for Germany. So we went out of the village for like 4 or 5 days.
Did you? Right.
So, yeah. So we have a bit of a training camp away from that, so we can get some better food and a bit of a better routine instead of having all the distractions around the Olympics. And then we came back in ready for our official training.
So the food wasn't so great in the Olympic Village? Is this what we're getting from this?
It wasn't for me, no.
Okay.
It was okay. I lost a decent amount of weight during the time there, but some people enjoyed it, other people struggled. But it's just the same thing every day for a 3-week period. It gets a bit monotonous.
Now, let's see, 2-man bob and 4-man bob. It was 7th in the end for you, and you did us proud, and we always love to see you and see you representing your country, and you do a great job. But the Germans, I mean, we were talking about this Monday or Tuesday, and Ellie was saying to me, why is it? How is it that the Germans are so good at bobsleigh? I know you've had wins against them, but it's just this domination. Why is it? I'm saying it's the Vorsprung Dirk Technik maybe of the bob, or is it the athletes? What is it about the Germans?
There's a combination of everything. So they run their program very, very well. So they have a lot of funding that comes in, and they have 4 of their own tracks. They have the push tracks where you practice physically and push in the summer. They have probably 15 or 20 of those dotted around the country when we only have 1. So they do everything to the best of their ability. So they maximise absolutely everything. So that's why they're so good. So we do pretty well considering what we have available to us. But yeah, it's still we're up against it when we go against the Germans. But yeah, they do everything phenomenally well.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, 8:45, front pages for you this morning. The Sunday Times says Trump tells Starmer, I don't need your help in the Gulf anymore.
The Mail headlines, now Blair delivers a stinging blow to the Prime Minister over war.
Sunday Telegraph, Blair rebukes Starmer over failure to back Trump's war.
And The Sun reports the daughter of Ian Huntley. She made a comment, she just says, flush his ashes down the toilet.
All right, let's go through some of those then with political editor for HuffPost UK, Kevin Schofield, and the author and journalist Emma Wolfe. Good morning to you. We're going to have a look at some different stuff this hour. Emma, let's have a look at the Mail on Sunday, looking at supermarkets and security tags.
Yeah, I mean, shoplifting is literally kind of out of control. We know now that it's sort of going unchallenged, it's going unprosecuted. Shoplifters have been stealing with impunity and they just fill up their trolleys, fill up their big rucksacks, and security guards seem unable to stop them. In fact, shoplifting offences have reached record highs, 19.5% increase in the last year. And Tesco are now putting security tags on OXO cubes. To be fair, they're putting them on trays of OXO cubes. People have been stealing trays of OXO cubes, which cost around £2.85, and stealing them. Not the veggie version and not the low-salt version, but the full-on beef OXO cubes.
But it's not about money, is it? Yeah. It's about
what you can shift, what you can sell.
Thinking you can just walk in and take what the heck you want.
But it is these smaller items, which is very, very odd. It used to be Scotch whisky. It used to be fillet steak that they would have to tag. They're now tagging butter, things like that is slightly higher prices.
Chocolate behind, like plastic guardrails.
Yes. Olive oil apparently is very...
Olive oil's got tags on it now, definitely.
Yeah, but that's expensive. I was chatting to a security guard who said they are actually putting those metal tags on chocolate bars because they can be easily sold on to local corner shops. It's absolutely crazy.
But it's all about respect. I mean, what could security guards ever do? But it was about respect, wasn't it? Because if you got stopped by a security guard, you stopped, you knew you were in trouble. Whereas, well, I mean, I'm not saying from experience, I point out. But now they just don't care. They just keep on walking.
Yeah, and they know that, that the security guards probably aren't going to do anything. And that's not a criticism of security guards. Like, why would you take on...
Why would you risk it? You don't get a bonus for stopping a shoplifter.
Why would you?
You could have a knife pulled on you. You could even be told that you've hurt someone.
And as you say, they've probably been told, don't, because then as their employer, we've got a duty of care to you, so for heaven's sake, don't put yourself in harm's way.
It's all gone mad. Kevin, in the Sunday Telegraph, we've been hearing for a while now, haven't we, about how we're going to lose some jury trials. Apparently, that may not be the case.
Yeah, so, I mean, while we've been distracted by international affairs, there's still domestic headaches that Keir Starmer's got now, despite the fact he's got a majority of around about 150. He's at the mercy of his backbenches. He's not very popular. And the latest unpopular policy that they're trying to force through is this curbing jury trials. And the rebels think that they could well have the numbers to stop it. Now, the government insists this is necessary to clear the backlog of cases, which built up during COVID, really, and it's just got worse and worse. But the critics and Labour rebels are saying, no, this is not the way to do it. You know, you put
24-hour
more money,
courts would do it.
24-hour courts,
Yes,
you put more money into the court system. You don't take away people's right to a jury trial. And it's, you know, it's around about half of jury trials would be gone. Anyone expected to get less than 3 years, you would no longer be entitled to a jury trial. And it's...
I mean, I know you have a lot to do, but constantly you see, certainly dramatised, and you hear about, and I've been to many court cases, I'm sure we all have, where the judge just sort of says, well, I think that's it for the day, don't you? And you look at the clock and it's 4 o'clock or 3:30. And I know he's got a lot of thinking and writing and stuff to do, but you do wonder whether they couldn't work a longer day.
I couldn't agree more. I was on a jury, I did jury service, and the days, I mean, you rock in about 10, faff around for ages, go in about 10:30, and literally we were finishing at 3 or 4 in the afternoon with a long break for lunch, getting juries in, getting them out. So I do think it could be a lot more efficient. They could work a proper day.
Start at 9, finish at 5.
Yeah, start at 9, finish
and you don't
at 5.
go out to restaurants at lunchtime, you know.
No, and get through some cases.
And it's just a fundamental freedom, isn't it? You know, I think it's
very fundamental.
It should be protected, jury trials. So so they could be facing another defeat there.
Oh, interesting.
So
won't like that.
No, definitely not.
Right, in the Daily Mail, they're talking about COVID, Day of Reflection.
Yeah.
Emma.
6 years on. 6 years on from the start of the pandemic, from the outbreak, that weird day in March when I guess we were plunged into lockdown. There's going to be services today, sort of a day of quiet reflection at the National COVID Memorial Wall, which is in London on the, I think it's on the Albert Embankment along the river. We just had last week the end of the 4-year COVID inquiry costing around 200 million. And what's the conclusion?
Well,
I don't know.
Wait to see, don't we? But I mean, I think we were discussing earlier, weren't we, that we just can't see a scenario where they would ever do that again. I think they were clearly hopelessly ill-prepared for that type of pandemic. They'd prepared for an influenza pandemic, not a coronavirus pandemic, and it's almost bewildering now when you think back to what we went through. It
does make you wonder. I know people want inquiries and all they sort of want answers, and they want people to be seen to be hauled before a panel and all the rest of it. But 200 million quid, and what do we get? What do we get for it?
No.
Yeah, and if they come to the conclusions that XYZ was right and ABC was wrong, I mean, the next pandemic, when and if it happens, will be very different. It won't be like COVID, and I think we'll react incredibly differently.
I think so. I mean, we were talking about our different experiences and how some people had a good time in lockdown, and how for some people it was absolutely devastating. It was such a different experience. But the fact that the country that we were sort of... Politics has changed so much since that time, I think.
I mean, that was the other thing, is how well it was respected at the time. You know, the government was taken by surprise. They thought, we can't really do the lockdown because people will never go for it. You know, we'll never be able to control the populace in such a way. And yet we were all very dutiful.
Oh, we did.
We went out for an hour a day. You know, you kept an eye out for, hang on a minute, why are they... And they're a bit close together. I mean, all these weird things that turn
but that wouldn't happen again.
But would there be that level of compliance now?
No, it wouldn't happen again.
Politics is
because everybody has their own idea about how to cope with it now.
Exactly.
Right, can we look at something a bit jollier in the Sunday Times? And I've got very fond memories of being in sort of King's Heath in Birmingham and having good old-fashioned table naans at Balti restaurants and things. I mean, it's the food of gods.
It is. It's sensational. And without wishing to make people very hungry first thing in the morning, there is a chap by the name of Andy Munro, who is the Secretary of the Association for the Protection of the Authentic Balti. He's based in Birmingham, and he has applied to UNESCO for protected status. So the Balti would become part of the inventories of living heritage, like Moulton, Mowbray, pork pies, Arbroath Smokies. What's the ham in Italy? You know, these you get those like different cheeses and Parma ham. Correct, Parma ham. That's the one that's protected. You could only champagne can only be from Champagne.
So they're saying Balti will only be able to come from this certain triangle.
Exactly, from this part of Birmingham, because it's so unique. It's a fusion of Birmingham and Pakistani heritage, and it's so delicious. And
if you have a Balti anywhere else, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
What's the Brummy part of a Balti then?
Well, that's where it was invented.
That's where it was invented.
Oh, I see. That's just the place.
Yeah.
You know,
and it must be cooked over a seriously hot flame in a cast iron bowl. because the word Balti means bucket in Hindi, and then the way it's prepared, the way it's served, everything and that can only be a true Balti.
Yeah.
So if it was to get this status, it would then be protected, and then you could only have a Balti, a proper Balti.
I was chatting to a guy who runs an Indian restaurant near us, and he said, you know, his trade used to be people coming in to eat, but also people popping in for their takeaway. 90% now of his people is Uber, Deliveroo, someone coming in on a motorbike, taking a bag of stuff, and that's his trade now. So people, like, society breaks down when people don't come and eat, talk to them, and anything.
All right, you two. Well, I'm glad we've all had a get-together today. It's been very nice.
Very nice indeed,
Thank
as
you very
always.
much indeed.
Catherine Chalk has your weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more cloud in the forecast today. Some sunny breaks for some of us, though, and some patchy rain and drizzle too, especially across England and Wales. So across eastern parts of Scotland, though, and southern parts of Scotland, that's where we're going to hold on to the best of the sunshine today, even for eastern parts of Northern Ireland. To the west of that, cloud and outbreaks of rain across the Outer Hebrides. Otherwise, for much of England and Wales, it's a cloudy picture with showery outbreaks of rain pushing their way northwards. There may be some breaks in the cloud across the far southeast, temperatures rising here 14-15 degrees, elsewhere around 12 to 13. Now, as we head through this evening then, the clear skies persisting across eastern parts of Scotland and towards the south. Out towards the west, that's where we have this lingering cold front bringing outbreaks of rain across the inner and outer Hebrides. Similar picture across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here, drier to the east. Otherwise, a lot of low cloud persisting across England and Wales. And as we head through Sunday evening and overnight, that cloud will lower even more, will give some murky conditions, some outbreaks of rain, and also a lot of hill fog. So showery outbreaks of rain will continue to push their way northward into parts of Wales and eventually also into southern parts of Scotland. Most places a cloudy night to come, so temperatures will be holding up, quite a mild night, but in the far north, that's where we hold on clear skies, so perhaps a touch of frost to start Monday. Otherwise, a much damper picture across eastern parts of Scotland and southern Scotland with showery outbreaks of rain. A few brighter breaks developing across Northern Ireland on Monday, but for the vast majority of England and Wales, still holding on to that cloudy theme, but perhaps some brighter breaks eventually developing across the southeast. Temperatures up on recent days, highs of up to 17 degrees.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's a prize package worth over £92,000. There's a totally tax-free £25,000 in cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like this year. Plus, you'll also get to drive away in a brand new Benevan 122 camper van. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, this latest 2026 model comes fully loaded with everything you'd expect. For another chance to win a camper van and cash, text prize to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB20 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Patrick Christie's Tonight. Weekdays from 9 p.m.
Right. So that's that then. Aliens are real.
Terrible interview of that. It was like he said, yes, aliens are real, and then he just sort of moved on. I was like, well, that's real. What do you mean they're real?
That's the big news.
That's the story there, lad.
It's arguably the story
of the century. I mean, I couldn't give a toss about local elections if aliens are real. This is hugely exciting. Maybe they're in the Epstein files. Who knows?
Yeah. Wow.
Look, this is wonderful news. But has no one followed up with Barat?
Well, he did. He went on Instagram to clarify, and he said he was just sticking with the spirit of the interview, but the universe is so vast, he says, that the odds are good that there's life out there.
That's not what he said in the
distances
interview.
between our solar systems are so great that the chances we've been visited by aliens is low. So it's a U-turn from Barack Obama on aliens.
We all know what he really
Of course,
said.
people who've come from completely different planets must exist. Otherwise, how would we account for your opinions?
I just think that's quite a big deal.
Well, it was a huge deal, but now it's just backtracked.
Have you ever read the work of a guy called David Jacobs? He believes
Doesn't he
that
play
the
Del Boy?
aliens... Oh, no, that's David Jason.
Right, sorry.
And it's not David Jacobs, the guy who created Dallas in 1978 when he tried to sell it to CBS. No, that's a different David Jacobs. David Jacobs wrote a book about how there are aliens already in this on this Earth, and they are either, I think they're called there are the blondes, there are the sort of reptilians, there are all these people, and they are here already in human form. People who have been abducted by aliens have genuinely been abducted by aliens.
But so this is
because the number of
mad.
people... I'm not saying I believe him, I'm just reporting to you what he said. And the number of people who've been abducted by aliens, there are so many who have exactly the same story.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good morning. As Donald Trump refuses to support the Prime Minister and launches a scathing attack on the United Kingdom, is this actually the end of the special relationship?
And this is all happening as HMS Prince of Wales, the aircraft carrier, prepares for possible deployment to the Middle East. But the US president has promised complete destruction and certain death to targets in Iran.
Well, it's not on his own in his criticism. Now Tony Blair has chimed in, condemning Sir Keir Starmer over his decision not to support American strikes.
Well, Britain is focused on increasing its naval capabilities in the region. In response to those comments from Donald Trump, the Prime Minister says the country needs seriousness, not political games.
Meanwhile, councils are divided over the second home council tax surge introduced by the government. We'll be hearing from locals in Yorkshire on how the scheme has unexpectedly impacted in certain ways.
Tourists come in the summer and people with holiday homes come in the winter time, and they come all year round, and they actually spend the money in the town. This has not solved any problems for the residents of Filey.
Now, scientists actually successfully have managed to change the course of an asteroid for the first time in a quite incredible test mission. NASA has, it seems, pulled off a real-life Armageddon.
Will you see any sunshine today? Well, I'll have all of the details in the forecast coming up shortly.
Don't think so. I don't think there's much chance today.
No.
Sunshine?
No, sadly not. It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Anne Diamond, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, look, you wouldn't want to be in number 10 this morning, would you?
No.
Not with the headlines and everything else going on. I mean, I don't know where we stand as a country at the moment, and that's, you know, we want to sound patriotic and all the rest of it, but it would seem we have, in the eyes of others at least, been very badly damaged.
Yeah, President Trump has told the Prime Minister that the United States does not need its once great ally, Britain, to send aircraft carriers to the Middle East.
Yeah, he's been posting on Truth Social saying he will remember the lack of British support for his war with Iran, claiming he doesn't need people that join wars after they've already won.
Pretty barbed. In another stark intervention, the former Prime Minister Tony Blair has also had a go at Keir Starmer, saying the UK should have supported America from the very start of the campaign against Iran.
We'll get some analysis in a moment. First, though, let's head to Fairford, RAF Fairford, which is where these bombers, B-1 bombers and other aircraft have been landing and refuelling and what have you. Jack Carson, our national reporter, is there for us. Morning to you, Jack. I mean, first and foremost, have we seen much activity today?
Well, we have seen one of the B-1 bombers, which was near a perimeter fence in the early hours of this morning, has been moved. We've seen it be moved. Whether that is being moved in preparation for any kind of operation, we're unsure, but we know that there is activity here on the base, mass activity in the past 48, 72 hours, as 4 B-1 heavy bombers landed here at RAF Fairford after the UK gave the United States permission to use bases in the UK for what they call defensive strategic operations, as well as the use of Diego Garcia out closer towards the region out there. So we know that the UK are allowing them, but as you heard from President Trump posting on Truth Social last night, doesn't think that really is going to make much of a difference in terms of the relationship between the UK and the US since these attacks on Iran began, almost feeling like it's too little, too late for the UK to get involved, particularly commenting on our involvement in naval capabilities, with readying HMS Prince of Wales, with readying HMS Dragon for deployment. It all seems to be too little, too late. The President saying we don't need people that join wars after we've already won. But writing in the Sunday Mirror today, the Prime Minister very clear that he says that while opposition parties seek to undermine Britain on the world stage, my government is focused on protecting British people at home and abroad. He says it's time for seriousness, not political games. But with 100,000 people in the region still that had registered their presence in the Gulf region, looking for flights out of the Gulf, out of the likes of Saudi Arabia, Dubai and others, really allowing the US to use these bases for what the Ministry of Defence says strategic defensive operations, in a way is helping to protect British citizens overseas, and increasing our own naval capabilities will help to do that. It's certainly quite a big development that HMS Prince of Wales is being ready. We hear it's been put on essentially 5 days' notice. The Ministry of Defence confirmed yesterday that it's always at a state of readiness, if you like, but they are increasing the preparedness of the carrier, saying reducing the time it would take to sail for any deployment. There'd been concerns that down at Portsmouth, people were only working 9 to 5 in looking to prepare the likes of HMS Dragon to be deployed to the region to protect RAF bases in the likes of Cyprus and other parts of the Gulf. We know the UK is committed to helping countries there, including most recently the Kingdom of Bahrain, and helping them defensively in the air with the likes of Typhoons and F-35 jets. But GB News sources confirmed that actually, really, it's been 24/7 round the clock trying to get these ships out to help in the region. We know that 400 troops have been deployed extra to Cyprus in all of this, as well as we were saying. Those Typhoons and F-35 really helping for defensive capabilities. The UK still not joining in the attacks on Iran. There have been more of those overnight, particularly from Israel and the United States on an oil facility in Tehran, and almost apocalyptic pictures that we saw overnight of the sky almost looking like it's on fire as those facilities were hit. But it's because the US is not backing down on this. Donald Trump on Air Force One last night saying that he suggested the war would only end once Tehran had no functioning military or remaining leadership in power. We believe that the Iranian Leadership Council is coming to a decision on who again to elect as a new supreme leader. But Donald Trump pretty much saying that with the bombing campaigns they intent on making, it could make all negotiations irrelevant. He said last night at some point he doesn't believe whether there could be anybody to say we surrender. So quite serious how much the President is not backing down on this. We know the UK favoured maybe a more diplomatic approach to ending the attacks in Iran, but that doesn't look like, if the President of the United States is to believe, like that's going to have any capabilities. And when you look really, though, overall at the support that the British have been giving the region, it's certainly increased in the coming days. But of course, criticism now coming over whether that is all too little too late.
Well, thanks very much. We'll leave you there for the moment because I know you're going to be there all day. I hope the fog lifts and you can actually see what's going on that massive runway behind you. 2 miles long the runway is at RAF Fairford, which is why it can take some of the planes that it's taking.
Yeah, they're huge things, aren't they? Charlie Rowley, former political advisor, is here in the studio. I mean, it's fascinating, all this criticism piling on Keir Starmer, for him to turn around and say in this article he's penned today, you know, all these especially the political opposition parties, are undermining Britain on the world stage by criticising him. I mean, really?
Well, not when you have a former Labour Prime Minister obviously chipping in as well and effectively saying the same thing. But we're not just talking about the commentariat. It's not people like me, where the Prime Minister is the one in the room. He's got to make the decisions. You can easily dismiss my views for what it's worth and anyone else. But when you have a former Prime Minister, Sir Tony Blair, chipping in, also Rishi Sunak yesterday writing in the Times to make the point, quite, I think, deliberately, to say you shouldn't allow an interpretation of what could be international law to block something as significant as allowing your allies to come and refuel on UK RAF bases. You know, I just wish Rishi Sunak had had that kind of thought process when it came to the Rwanda scheme. But, you know, there we are. That would have got flights off the ground and don't worry about international law there. But the point remains that, you know, these are not commentators. These are former prime ministers that have been in that hot seat, that know and would have been briefed on the same issues that this prime minister has been briefed on when it comes to Iran, that he would have known, that this prime minister and the former prime ministers would know exactly where our intelligence lies, where our capabilities lie, where our military is strong, but also where it needs further work and investment. So they're not commentators, Prime Minister. These are your former people that have held that role. They should be listened to.
But also, I wonder why he says what he says, because he's also said, as Jack was saying in this article, you know, my focus is protecting British citizens at home and abroad. Well, the one thing which we know hasn't happened is sending HMS Dragon or Duncan out to Cyprus to protect our sovereign bases there, which could have been done weeks ago.
And that's the point. It's not necessarily about intervention or being involved or sending planes to be part of the offensive operation. It is about, if your line is, as the Prime Minister is holding dear, about defending UK interests, defending British citizens, he knew about this weeks ago. So, you know, it's, without being too crude about it, it's quite easy to say, yes, we'll get involved, or no, we won't. That's fine. But the broader then planning of, you know, what happens after that, because something is happening, whether we're involved or not. The US and Israel are going to bomb Iran, right. So where are all my military chiefs? Where's my defence secretary? Let's get round the table now and say, we've made a decision, we're not going to allow this access, that access, but we've got people in the region.
What are the implications?
What are the implications? How do we get them out? Are we thinking about a mass you know, humanitarian issue when it comes to Dubai and the Middle East, because we don't know the impacts of what would happen from all the drones, the drone bombings. How can we evacuate potentially up to 300,000 UK nationals in Dubai and the Middle East if we don't have the airspace, if we don't control the air? They'll have to come through the sea. So what have we got in terms of our navy? None of these questions seem to have been asked. Or if they have...
Well, they're certainly not being answered.
They're certainly not being answered.
Moment, are they? Because when Keir Starmer made his speech the other day, it just seemed to me as though he was preaching to his backbenchers. He was saying the things they wanted to hear. He was saying, even then, you know, I didn't really want to, but I agreed to defensive action. And it seemed to me that he wasn't talking to us, the rest of the world. He was talking to his backbenchers behind and telling them that, you know, that he was keeping the faith with them.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Look, this is always, and always has been, and probably always will be, the criticism of this Prime Minister, is about conviction. What does he actually believe? What does he stand for? And, you know, Donald Trump, we know what he stands for, whether you agree with him or not. You know, we know what Tony Blair stood for, whether you agreed with him or not. But that's politics. It can be divisive, but you've got to take decisions. Now, this Prime Minister, we criticise him for his lack of politics, and he accepts that because he always tells us he came into politics late as a sort of a justification. That's fine, to a degree. But does he actually believe that we should be part of these strikes or not? And if he does, what he should be able to do is to say, to be political about it, and to say, to appease his backbenchers by saying, OK, we didn't get involved in the offence, the original coalition of offensive operations, but here is what we're doing, and he should be, or we should have had deployed HMS Dragon weeks ago.
Yes.
We should be saying this is everything else that we're doing.
So embarrassing, isn't it?
But if he genuinely doesn't believe that we shouldn't be there or playing a part, then fine.
Yes.
Stand by it.
Stand your ground.
But what he's ultimately doing is trying to, I think, appease everybody and please everybody, and you end up pleasing absolutely nobody.
All right, Charlie, thank you very much indeed.
I tell you what, all this is going to lead to a very interesting programme in about 10 minutes' time from Camilla Tominey. Let's see what she's up to. Hi there, Camilla.
Good morning to you both. Yeah, another very, very busy week, not just in Westminster, but across. I've just interviewed Foreign Office Minister Hamish Faulkner, so he'll be on the show a little later. He's given some interesting responses when I obviously put to him that Trump's latest Truth Social post was rather a humiliation, not just for Britain, but for the Prime Minister. But let's be honest, it's been a pretty bruising and embarrassing week for Keir Starmer with one thing and another. So I'll be speaking to Hamish Faulkner, the Foreign Office Minister, about that. Also speaking to Chris Philps, Shadow Home Secretary, who can react to the other big story of the week, which has kind of been overshadowed by global events, and that's Shabana Mahmood's immigration reforms. I will have to ask this Tory why a Muslim Labour Home Secretary has gone further on immigration than the Tories ever did, and whether that's problematic, not least because we have reports this morning, I know Emma and Kevin were discussing them with you, about a reshuffle potentially by Kemi Badenoch, and Chris Philps' name is in the frame. So that could be a little bit #AUKS. And we'll be speaking to the former head of the British Army, General Sir Richard Dannett. He can give us some perspective on how humiliating it has been for the Royal Navy in particular to have HMS Dragon in Portsmouth at the very moment the Prime Minister was giving a press conference in Downing Street on Thursday talking about how well prepared for this we were.
Yes, it's astonishing, isn't it? But the Kemi Badenoch reshuffle is fascinating because it looks as though she's going to get rid of anyone I've ever heard of and replace them with people who are maybe up-and-coming young talent, but we don't know them.
No, so there's a suggestion that Dame Priti Patel might be for the chop because she's associated with the Tories' failure to bring down immigration while she was Home Secretary. I'm sure she'd disagree with that narrative, but there you have it. And then we've got names like Claire Coutinho and others who is already in the shadow cabinet but not as well known. I wonder as well, Anne, whether there may be the reintroduction of some grey hairs into the scene. Many have asked across Conservative circles, why isn't she deploying very experienced people like, for instance, former leader Ian Duncan Smith, famous for introducing the new benefits system, universal credit, or somebody like David Davis, good on issues of foreign affairs and the military. So we'll have to wait and see. Tories at the moment staying stum about those reports.
Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting. OK, we look forward to the programme, Camilla. We'll let you get away and prepare for it.
Thank you.
Right, still to come, second homeowners in North Yorkshire are apparently, well, some of them at least, selling properties because of a hike in council tax. We'll tell you more and look at the implications for the local community in a moment.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless, and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
19 minutes past 9. Now, people with second homes in North Yorkshire, many of them at least, are selling their properties because of a hike in council tax. And they're urging the local authority to reduce the charges.
Yes, more than 200 English councils now have charged second home owners double council tax since the powers were granted last April.
Well, North Yorkshire Council introduced the premium last year and they've recently renewed it. Apparently it's raised £10 million in revenue across 8,000 homes so far.
And that was the idea, to free up houses for other local people to live in, but it's had an unexpected effect in some places. Our reporter Anna Riley visited Filey to find out.
It's been up for sale for a year.
This retired couple have been forced to sell their holiday home. It's in the seaside town of Filey, where second homeowners have to pay double the rate of council tax on their property. The levy will cost Chris and Alison £4,000 a year, double the tax they pay on their primary house in Leeds. They don't rent out the flat and have owned it for the last 15 years.
We think it's very unfair.
We're basically paying our council tax to get the bins emptied.
Second homeowners are here year round. We use local restaurants, local shops, we use local services, you know, sort of like plumbers, roofers, etc. You know, I think we contribute quite a lot.
The tax was brought in by North Yorkshire Council to bring unused properties into full-time occupation or let others get on the property ladder. More homes are now for sale, but not necessarily selling.
The properties which are coming onto the market, the flats on the Crescent and the flats in the town centre, and a lot of them don't have parking, they don't have outside space, which first-time buyers want. But most of them that are coming up for sale that are second homes are normally the ones that you can't holiday let.
So far, the scheme's raised over £10 million across North Yorkshire, with the money set to be spent on housing projects. But there's concern that it will turn tourist resorts like Filey into ghost towns.
The second home levy is absolutely ridiculous. Tourists come in the summer and people with holiday homes come in the winter time, and they come all year round, and they actually spend the money in the town. This has not solved any problems for the residents of Filey, especially when you consider the 3 or 4 million that they've taken from Filey hasn't built any houses in Filey.
Locals here have mixed views on the extra charges for second holiday homes.
In some ways, I think it's a good thing to kind of try to help people who are living locally buy a house, but then at the same time, we're a seaside town and we need the holidaymakers here to help keep seaside towns going.
If that stops people from having holiday homes to then rent out to people to come and visit this beautiful place, then who's going to live in them?
I do see why they're doing it, but you only have to look around and see a number of properties for sale to see what it's actually done. So is it going to be a benefit in the long run? I'm not sure.
A stellar strategy or a cash grab? For people here, time will tell. Anna Riley, GB News, Filey.
it's not much good if it actually ruins local businesses.
No, it's unintended consequences. You can see why they're doing it, but the impact seems to be very different.
Anyway, good morning to everybody in Filey. It looks like a lovely place. I know it's got a reputation for being gorgeous.
Yeah, right, that is it from us. Thanks for your company today. Camilla Tomlin is here after the weather.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more cloud in the forecast today. Some sunny breaks for some of us, though, and some patchy rain and drizzle too, especially across England and Wales. So across eastern parts of Scotland, though, and southern parts of Scotland, that's where we're going to hold on to the best of the sunshine today, even for eastern parts of Northern Ireland. To the west of that, cloud and outbreaks of rain across the Outer Hebrides. Otherwise, for much of England and Wales, it's a cloudy picture with showery outbreaks of rain pushing their way northwards. There may be some breaks in the cloud across the far southeast. Temperatures rising here 14-15 degrees, elsewhere around 12 to 13. Now, as we head through this evening then, the clear skies persisting across eastern parts of Scotland and towards the south. Out towards the west, that's where we have this lingering cold front bringing outbreaks of rain across the inner and outer Hebrides. Similar picture across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here, drier to the east. Otherwise, a lot of low cloud persisting across England and Wales. And as we head through Sunday evening and overnight, that cloud will lower even more, will give some murky conditions, some outbreaks of rain and also a lot of hill fog. So showery outbreaks of rain will continue to push their way northward into parts of Wales and eventually also into southern parts of Scotland. Most places a cloudy night to come, so temperatures will be holding up, quite a mild night, but in the far north, that's where we hold on clear skies, so perhaps a touch of frost to start Monday. Otherwise, a much damper picture across eastern parts of Scotland and southern Scotland with showery outbreaks of rain. A few brighter breaks developing across Northern Ireland on Monday, but for the vast majority of England and Wales, still holding on to that cloudy theme, but perhaps some brighter breaks eventually developing across the southeast. Temperatures up on recent days, highs of up to 17 degrees.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
They really are. And William, of course, president of BAFTA, they were there, William and Catherine, to celebrate the best of British talent and creativity. And for the Princess, she hadn't done it for the last couple of years because of her cancer journey. So to have them back there with the full glam of the Princess wearing this beautiful floor-length Gucci dress on most of the front pages this morning perhaps shows the power that they do have in terms of celebrating British creativity. But we've got this elephant in the room, don't we? And that is what's happening with Andrew. Well, we've got William's comments on all the front pages.
Yeah, front page of The Sun, Will's I'm not in a calm state, front page of my paper, The Daily Mail, exactly that. He would have wanted those words to be out there.
Very clearly at the Duchess of Kent's funeral, he was so uncomfortable stood next to him. He really was, refused to engage in any conversation. It was very obvious, William's point of view on that one. And I think for the British public, maybe the Waleses will be hoping that the public will judge those two, the future of the monarchy, on their actions and their dedication to service and duty, rather than the alleged alleged kind of conduct of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
Do you think, reading through the lines, William is absolutely fuming about the whole thing, hates that he's been caught up in it at all, and I'm not in a calm state is a bit of a euphemism? I expect he wants to come out and say to journalists, look, it's nothing to do with me. Please keep me away from this. It's not my fault. powerful.
Yeah, I mean, William's been given a lot of opportunities over the last week since Andrew's arrest to release some kind of statements, and they've declined to do so. We've been told by sources close to William that, you know, he fully supports his father's statements, particularly when it comes to the law must now take his course. This is the King's statement following Andrew's arrest. I think the